chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's good to be back with you for another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Happy Wednesday. I'm your host, Sabrina, and I am excited to be back here, getting all my links up and making sure that we got everything going. I see you, Marshall. You first to comment to class today. Hope you're all right. Yeah. Yesterday's show was very interesting, and I hope you realize now at 7 o'clock this evening, it's going to be the Cayman football show. And at 8 o'clock, it's Fit and Fierce by Carla. So we are going to make sure that we finish up some of the clauses that we haven't really went into. Again, the lines will be open, 936-8255, for you to participate in the discussions. And we definitely want to hear from you. And right now, we know that Parliament is ongoing, which, that had to contribute with my tardiness a little bit, just a little bit. But the whole idea is that I will be doing a recap of that for you tomorrow. Well, we know that the undersea cable bill that went through, that was a no-brainer. We knew that would have happened. And the bill now on the immigration amendment now is being debated. Just before going live, the representative for Bodentown East was live. And there we go. Let me just I'm pulling some information, so just bear with me for a second here. But yeah, we are going to definitely bring it to you. And it's very important to hear from you, because you saw where the Honorable Minister tabled the bill. And even though at first we were hearing it was 15 amendments that will be addressed at the committee stage, now I'm hearing there's 17. The leader of the opposition also weighed in on it so far. And he basically says that both sides of the aisle was saying, look, what's the rush? Slow it down. Let's go through all of this. And then some of these committee stage amendments is grave concern as well. Anyhow, you know what? Let's see what's going to happen. But I heard little firing from the government side in regards to being abstaining from the bill. And one needs to understand, and we went through when people abstain from voting, what that means. And it's not what is trying to actually be portrayed. Remember, I'm so happy we took the opportunity to go through some of these clauses, because I'm quite sure for those of you, and I see a lot of you who were actually, I see the numbers basically that was there is pretty good. And I'm very proud of you guys for doing that. But when I heard the clause being presented in its raw form, It shouldn't have been foreign to you all, because a lot of those things we have aired in layman's terms, in real factual discussion here that you were a part of, and that's key. So it was not nothing to you. But if you just had to remove all of the discussions that we had here in this space and only heard what was being said, I bet you would have a different take today. But you know what? Today's episode, we will continue with the discussions, but we will take the conversations from Cayman streets. And we end right back up to Parliament floor. Because we're going to continue with that. Because at the first part of this episode, we will put a spotlight for a few minutes on the National Roads Safety Campaign Docuseries. We'll be exploring how awareness, accountability, and community action can save lives. And I'll be joined by Mr. Milo Dack, PR specialist, and also by Mr. Mikhail Campbell, also PR specialist there at Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. And they will be speaking to us about this whole campaign. And we're looking at it from the educational standpoint for the first portion of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks. Then we're going to shift the gears to the ongoing talks that we've been having here on the Immigration Transition Amendment and Validation Bill of 2025. And we will just break it down, because pretty much what was read is what is in the white paper, what we call clause. Context now, you're not going to necessarily get that, because it's leaving room for the opposition to speak. And you heard they've actually aired their concerns as well. We are still going to hear from other members of the opposition, which is why I ended my viewing and listening to go live. And what I will do then after this show, I will definitely do a recap of what was being said and all that sort of stuff, so that I can then give a better synopsis of my takeaway from what's being said right this second. But the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. And I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. And again, 345-936-8255 is the number to call to be a part of the discussion. And don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And I'm quite sure, I'm going to tell you now, at 7 o'clock, there's additional entertainment coming on the cmrtv.com platform. However, where I allow it, which I will, if the conversation goes on, but we're not going to go on long beyond, it's about discipline. I will then end the stream on the CMR TV channels, and then I will only be able to stream on my channels. So on Facebook, you can find me and you look for Sabrina Turner, community activist, and that's where I will continue to stream from. There's also a YouTube for me as well, and that's Sabrina Speaks, the number 12. You can find me there on YouTube as well to continue. So go ahead and lock those in now so that the conversation continues. If I have to drop from all of the CMR TV social media channels in order to just make way for other content creators who are actually scheduled to come on at 7, I will be flexible with the continuation of conversations, but I don't want you to say, oh my God, we lost you. Where are you? You have to look for me for Sabrina Turner, community activist on Facebook, and Sabrina Speaks, the number 12 on YouTube. And you go ahead and like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever you do. So if it continues after 7, you're not scrambling. The number, of course, remains the same, 345-936-8255, in order to just be a part of the discussions there. So I want to make that clear to you just in case, because I'm seeing where some of you are a little angry because I got to cut and go. And I don't want you to feel like I'm running because I don't want to extend. It's a matter of just being respectful to my other colleagues. Okay. So that's the whole, that's the 411 on that part. I'm just making sure I can get the latest here for you. So yeah, there we have it. At around the next 10, 15 minutes, we'll be bringing in our guests so we can hear. Have you seen those videos, guys? There are YouTube, a series of videos that are going around in regards to the campaign. And it is, yeah, that'll wake you up for you. So here we go. Let's do this for Jimbo. We got all about the weather here now. We got to make sure we keep it real. The synopsis calls for a stationary front located across the extreme Northwest Caribbean, and a surface trough across the Northwest Caribbean will maintain the chance for some showers as light winds and residual moisture remain trapped in the region. Now, satellite imagery shows a few clouds across the Cayman area. For tonight, the forecast calls for partly to 30% chance of early morning showers. Temperatures will fall to the mid-70s. Winds will be light and variable. Seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Forecast for tomorrow calls for cloudy, partly skies, with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the near to mid-80s with a heat index of 95. Winds will be northeasterly 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. The sun will set this evening at 5:47, sunrise at 6:50, and tomorrow's sunset again, Jimbo, at 5:47. The outlook is for similar weather conditions through Friday morning. Thereafter, an increase in winds and seas are expected as a ridge of high pressure builds across the Northwest Caribbean, increasing the pressure gradient across the region. So there you have it. Oh my gosh, today has been one of those days and I didn't go nowhere. So no stories to share with on today. Not one bit of story to share with on it today. Hold on. I see you in the green room. Stay right there. My peoples are coming. So let's just put them in the green room, hold them in the back. Yeah. So we're going to just do this. There we go. I see you. Stay right there. I'll soon be with you. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And birthday shout outs to my bro, Kennedy Ebanks. Kennedy Powery, class of 1990, celebrating his birthday. I know his sister. I missed him. I know it's a lot going on, but Kennedy, you showed up in my Facebook page again, class of 1990, and I want to wish you all the best. I know you no longer live here. After graduation, you migrated to, I don't even know where you are again. I don't recall. I don't remember. But anyhow, happy birthday to you, my brother. Hoping one of these days we will get caught up and just reminisce back the olden days. I've known Kennedy from West Bay primary days, and even now you see his post every now and again of Facebook. But yeah. Also, congratulations to Shamari. Remember, I told you that he was being acknowledged for CEMEX Leadership Awards. That took place on December 7th. In Miami, making his contributions there in Caribbean Media Exchange for his contributions. So yeah, our very own Caymanian. And if my memory serves me well, there were two others as well. Tortuga, what's her name? Her husband and wife. They got recognized as well. Please, but I am taking the information as I have it. I will give a proper congratulatory tomorrow, but I was just trying to finish up the content for today. I am, yes, apologizing, but I'm acknowledging you guys nevertheless, because we did do an entire segment on all of the recipients way in advance, but now it's past, it's gone, and pictures are in circulation. So there you have it. Congratulations to all of you putting Cayman on the map and definitely getting international recognition. Hard work definitely pays off, but when you're recognized internationally, that is something to definitely brag about for sure. Hey, Marshall, how you doing? First a comment. Barbara G, good girl. How are you, my love? Annie, good to have you here. Dawn, missed you yesterday. Hope you're continuing to mend. Well, hello to you as well, Damian Henry. Yeah. Lama, hi, good evening. I just lost my car key. Where were you where did you have this? Toyota? Okay, so there's a car key that was lost. It's a Toyota car key with 3 other keys on it. I'm going to need a little bit more, Lama, I'm going to need a little bit more information on this. What vicinity were you in? And what number should you want people to call? Should it be located? But the best thing like this, when these things happen, that should you find keys like this, you take them to the nearest police station, or if you're close to let's say a big supermarket or wherever, we'll get more information from you. But I'm hoping you're reunited with your key in short order. But give us some more details so that I'd be able to help you share that information. Real Michelle, 14.9 thousand views. Yeah, yes. Can you imagine? Thank you so much. That's you guys. That's all of you. When I heard that, in hindsight, to be honest, when I heard 14.9 thousand views, wow, you can't wrap your head around that in less than 6 months, really. But I am just honestly, Real Michelle, grateful to God. I'm thanking every one of you for your support. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be that successful. Based on the level of content, your participation, the word is definitely getting out. We continue to be respectful, and I am living up to my name of being nonpartisan, making sure that this space is yours and we respect all sides. We can agree to disagree, but it's a matter of just getting the information out there. Let me tell you something. It's a lot of work to do this. First of all, being able to present this at this forum and to not be misunderstood because some people are just thin-skinned or missing the forest for the trees. I know the purpose of the space. I follow your lead. I answer your call. This is not playing politics. I have so much other things I could be doing with my life. I took the heed, we've done it, and now we're being successful. So once you guys are the heartbeat of this, your participation matters. Continue to follow, continue to subscribe, continue to share, and I give you my word, I will continue to deliver. So yes, perfect. That was my question the other day, whether you could keep streaming. Yes, I will be. Sandra told me exactly how to do it, the real Michelle. But what I need to remember now is that I respectfully end the show on her platforms. And then for all of you who are streaming on my platforms, you will just continue because I just don't want to abruptly end, which is what I did the other night. But so I will make sure if it continues, I will respectfully just end it on her platforms, but we will continue on mine. But you don't want to miss out any evenings that's supposed to happen. And this is why I was telling you after the 19th, if it jigs me and I want to, just come on at random, let's say anytime during the day or just go live, I can do that from my platform, from my pages. So that's why it's good for you to follow and subscribe on my Facebook handles and YouTube as well, because at any time during the holidays that I know Connie and all of you guys will be missing, you never tell. I may pop up as a surprise thing, and it wouldn't be scheduled, you see, but it'll definitely be on my platform. Yes. Hey, Paul, how you doing? How's it over there in Bermuda? Always good to have you join us. Connie Bonnie is here. Yes. Miss Dorothy. Well, hey, Delcy, how you doing, my love? Yeah, it's so good to have you all here with us. Yes, congratulations. Kinder, gentler world. Yeah, I can't believe it. Let's continue to climb here. Let's blow it out of the charts, and because it's the level of conversation. And I must say, people like yourselves, bedrock cornerstone of this platform, continues to make it a success. Contributors like yourself, Connie, Danny, Mr. Balika, every one of you, Marshall, have been here from day one, even when Sandra took me in my house dress. Shaka Zulu, he was complaining about the light. You guys are the reason we've reached there. And you know, that's why this is really, really something good to celebrate. But yeah, there we go. Did you hear? Government has Premier announced a few moments ago, $500 honorarium. This is a one-time announcement that will be paid to civil servants, also seafarers, and pensioners and long-term financial assistance recipients. Now, you know, he did explain on the floor of Parliament, I'm quite sure an official media PR will go out on this, that timing and details of the distribution will be made known later this week. So yes, some of you may say, well, what happens to the statutory authorities? When you say civil servants, does that include the authorities like Port Authority, HSA, all of those Tourism Attraction Board, yeah? And Cineco and Cayman Airways? Those are statutory authorities. So it's that they would have to deal with whether or not they're going to extend the same for their staff. So this, from what I understood, is for core government. And so for all of you guys in the statutory authorities like HSA, like Port Authority, anything that has authority, Water Authority, Cineco, they are statutory authorities. Your board of directors more than likely will have to tell you, and that's probably internal, whether or not you all will be getting anything of this nature. And earlier on today, my guests are there, so I won't keep you waiting much long, but I got to say this. Earlier today, if you're following it, for all of us who has mortgages and loans and all that sort of stuff, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates for the third meeting in a row, lowering its benchmark rate to range 3.5 to lowering the range of 3.5% to 3.75%. Now, this is saying that policymakers say the move is meant to support the slowing labor market, even as inflation remains above target. Now, how this may actually impact us here in the Cayman Islands, our dollar is pegged to the US dollar. Yeah. Our dollar is pegged to the US dollar, and the Cayman financial system moves to, whenever this happens, whether it go up or come down, we are actually benefiting. So for all of those, borrowing costs here can ease, mortgages, car loans, that sort of stuff, savings, returns may dip, banks adjust cautiously. So yeah, this does impact us as well. So there we have it. So we're going to take and put our focus right now. Yes, okay, good. We're going to talk about the aftermath impact. Yeah, and I'm going to bring my guests in studio. So thank you all for being with us this evening. And we will continue with our immigration discussion after this section. But stay with us because, yeah, I'm quite sure you want to hear more from my guests. So let's go. Let's bring them in. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear us?
Oh, loud and clear.
Awesome. Good evening,
Yes.
Sabrina.
Hi, how are you? Happy holidays to you both.
Happy holidays to you as well.
Yeah. Now today, for those persons who may join us, because we have people joining us at different segments of our show, this part of our show, we're going to talk about the after the impact. And for those of you who may not have seen some of these videos on our social media handles and YouTube, it is a powerful new 5-episode docuseries under the National Roads Safety Campaign. And these two gentlemen, Mr. Milo Dack of GIS and Mr. Mikhail Campbell of Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, they're both PR specialists. They're going to tell us more about this campaign, shining light pretty much on the realities faced, what it was all about, how it came about. More a community awareness side is where these two gentlemen is going to take us to give us a little bit more focus on exactly what it is. So, gentlemen, let's start with the basics. And at any given time, both of you can weigh in with your responses. You can expound as much as you want, but we're going to make sure that we cover as much as possible based on exactly what we're here about. But yeah, let's go straight with the basics. What exactly is after the impact?
Thank you. Yeah, so as you mentioned, the title is After the Impact. It's a 5-episode docuseries that was created in partnership with the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, Health Services Authority, and the Department of Public Safety and Communications. So all of the four first responder agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, the purpose was to show the lived experiences of first responders, because they are often a group that don't really get considered when it comes. Hello? Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just saw something disappear. Yeah. So they're basically they live through the emotional, psychological, and professional realities of road traffic incidences in Cayman, and they're quite often a voice that people don't really consider when it comes to a tragic road incident. So we really wanted to have them in their own voices tell us about what they experience and what they go through, to really kind of raise awareness of like the deeper emotional storytelling aspect behind road safety, because it's not just about, you know, a quick slogan, it's not about a fancy graphic, it's not just a one and done thing, it's something that people live with their entire lives.
Mm-hmm. Right. Very, very interesting. Now, what do you hope viewers will take away from seeing that side of the story? Like when you look at all of these, I've seen some of them, and actually, I teared up, because having been in the uniformed services myself and having worked in the hospital, hearing it from first responders themselves impacts somebody who's working in the environment. But what are you hoping viewers will take away from seeing these stories?
So I think it's pretty simple. What we are aiming for with this is, with any road education campaign, the aim is to drive changes in behavior, pardon the pun. So it's the emotional impact that we're looking at, and seeing these faces that you may be familiar with, and even if you don't know them personally, they are people that know people that you know, and people that you can recognize the way they speak, the way they look, to hit that home, so that when you hear the actual concrete emotion and the personal experience behind it, to kind of put yourself in those shoes. Because I think for a lot of people, the impacts of road accidents and collisions from a little fender bender here or there are kind of abstract, something you hear about, but it doesn't really impact you directly.
Right.
So to see that those persons speaking directly to their experiences, we just want it to be something that makes people stop and think twice, and then get them to actually look at the potential impact, so that they can actually change their behavior, so they don't drink and drive, stop speeding, be patient on the road, won't pick up the phone while you're driving, or try to send texts, or even people, sometimes even watching videos, and always wear your seatbelt. Those are kind of the 4 main pillars, I would say, of our strategy, because those are the things that we see that impact not just causing collisions, but also the effects of the collision as well.
Right.
We're just hoping to drive change in those 4 areas. I think that's the overall strategy of the campaign, of which this is one part.
Now, how was they all, going into the production side? What went into that?
So I think
Because not everybody, you can respond to an accident, but you're talking about, oh yeah, you want me on camera? You must be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start with saying that this wasn't something new. I'm sure if anyone who is passionate about road safety probably would have seen similar initiatives and campaigns from across the world. Storytelling is not something new. We have it every single year in different formats. We talk about our culture, we talk about our history, we talk about, where we come from and why we're here and where we're going to be. We read books, etc. Storytelling is something that's really powerful if used in the right way. And so we really wanted to try and shine a light on the first responders, because, as I said, I think people kind of forget about the fact that they go through this time again. It's not something that they get to, grieve and then move on, because they don't get to move on, because they deal with one, and then next month they got another one, and the month after they got another one. They're constantly having to relive what they go through.
Right.
The different incidences, different people involved, but ultimately the trauma is still just as impactful for them. So in that sense, we wanted to kind of use what we've seen from across the world and I mean, for me, growing up in the UK at school, and I think my accent tells you that I grew up in the UK. Well, at the school, we had a similar road safety initiative come to our school. We turned about 16, 17, and we're looking at getting our driver's licenses.
Mm-hmm.
And first responders on stage talking to us about road safety in this similar way and talking about what they've gone through. It wasn't just an educational thing saying don't speed. It's don't speed because if you speed and you crash, this is what we have to deal with in the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to kind of tell that local context. So we wanted to use, voices, as Mikhail said, that people in Cayman may know. They may know someone who knows them. They may have dealt with them themselves. I think that's kind of the idea. We wanted to really bring it local to show that actually it's not something that happens thousands of miles away. This is something that happens in Cayman all the time. So, and of course, it was very intentional, kind of thoughtful product when we wanted to do this. We weren't just going to kind of go, as you say, boom, here's a camera, talk about your feelings and move on again. We worked with them for weeks, preparing them. We set up meetings. We made sure that they were happy talking about it. And I think that one of the people who attended one of our information sessions basically said, this is hard to talk about, but it's harder to go to the scenes themselves.
Yeah.
So if what we do makes a difference here in the studio, then if that reduces even one less road death this holiday season, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of the idea that, this wasn't an easy process. And, I was there, Mikhail was there, we were filming it. And as you say, it brought tears to you. We were hearing this stuff raw for the first time, unfiltered, emotional stories. And powerful to be part of this kind of project, to see it, how it was shaping up, to hear their stories.
Yeah. It's a silver lining in everything, because there's one thing of calling 911 in an emergency, and realizing, okay, that someone taking that call is actually living that with you until the first responders actually get on scene. So it was good that you all actually did the video that didn't have no reenactment. The background was very simple. It focused pretty much on the subject, and you could put those faces with a first responder in an ambulance. You could put the faces with the 911 operator. You even have the commissioner of police. You've given an entire picture of real persons that is your lifeline pretty much in various situations. That is amazing. And I think that's why it resonates so profoundly with people, because there's not a lot of distraction in the background for how it's been delivered, is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, I think that was really important for us to not try and do reenactments and to not try and tell a story that either didn't happen or did happen and that would, upset someone, because obviously we are a very small, close nation.
Yeah. I think, as he said, I think a lot of previous efforts, I would say, and even international campaigns that you see around the world in terms of there are two. Maybe you could say there's two main styles that are used. So there's the very dramatic, shocking reenactment that kind of shows you a version of what that could look like for you if you're experiencing a collision. And some of those are very, very effective. But I think the idea, especially for Milo and his team, who were the initial drivers of the campaign, or of this project, was to take a different approach and to give you that one-on-one. Because, as human beings, we connect with each other through speaking and through looking at each other and hearing stories being told. So that can be just as effective without having to have all the things that go into doing like a convincing reenactment.
How has the docuseries been received so far? Have you gotten any feedback from the public? What has it been like?
Yeah, so from all the comments that we've seen on social media, people seem to have really resonated with the messaging. I can't really say that it's enjoyed. I think enjoyed is the wrong term, because it isn't really enjoyable content, but I think it's really impactful content, very emotional content. So for those who we've done kind of internal screenings for, various civil servants and departments who have seen it, they've all been very appreciative of the work that's been put into it. Obviously, they've kind of seen the behind the scenes. They've seen the hours that have been poured in, the editing, the work, all the process to making this happen, there's the submissions, etc. So I think for them to actually see the final product of something that we've been talking about, but have been able to show them, was really powerful. I think as well that, I mean, yeah, I think on the whole, feedback has been very positive. We've had more than 3,000 views across all 5 videos, so total. I think the highest performing video is the one that we released first, featuring Jeremy Josephs and Shante Martinez from the Department of Public Safety Communications, also known as 911. So, as you say, the people you pick up the phone to call 911, those people on the other end are the telecommunicators. That's been the highest performing video so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like that, calling that, I may be wrong, that Delilah show where you call, but you call in an emergency. It's so emotive. You're just talking. Why are they taking so long? And every second feels like it's an hour or forever. And to really be able to put a face to one of the many 911 callers and operators there, that alone is profound. It has made a big statement. But you guys will be doing more public awareness. Will you be going into the schools and that sort of stuff as well?
Yeah, so the intention is for us to go into schools, particularly the senior schools, and not only show this documentary as one piece, but also to do educational drivers about young drivers, new drivers, what they need to be aware of, and things that they might not get told, they might not think about, because obviously, you know, we've all been young at one point. We all think that, you know, we're bold, we're invincible, and that nothing can touch us. But actually, all it takes is one wrong decision, one wrong.
Yeah.
It may not even be your fault, and something can go terribly wrong. So I think that's one of the big drivers that our SIPs, the police, are working on as well.
Yeah, so we're working together with the Department of Comms to get some of our officers into the schools and as you said, to provide some of these screening some of the docuseries, especially for the kids who are a little bit older, so you know, they're like 13. So kind of to combine the message, so give them the message and see, you know, kind of show what can go wrong, but then give them the tools to help them avoid that and kind of get them started off on the right foot before they get in behind the wheel of a vehicle.
I see a comment up there as well.
Yes.
That's right, is because also that I think children are really good at holding adults accountable. So it's things like if we're in schools, particularly the younger schools, and this kind of goes again to those who are under 13, between, I guess, like 5 and 13, and we're telling them seatbelts are the most important thing. When they get in their car, they're going, hey, mom and dad, don't forget my seatbelt. We had a really important talk today from school. And hey, you know, like, that's a red light. That means you have to come to a stop. And all these kind of small comments that kids make. I mean, of course, we're all hoping that everyone is responsible, isn't running a red light, isn't speeding, is putting seatbelts on, etc. But I think it's just that small reminder of having a kid tell you that is just something that kind of really reinforces the message. So, yeah, children are really important parts of the road safety campaign. They're not drivers, but they are people in the vehicles. They are road users, as we would call them.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, you know, this is about changing culture as a whole, which I think that's probably the biggest motivator, apart even beyond enforcement, education, and everything. It's just the culture of the society that you're in. So as those children get older, if they take these things to heart, then that is how you change the culture as those people come up.
Now we know the Arrive Alive campaign is going on. Mikhail, is RSIPs doing any more PR on just overall road safety? For understanding it is the Christmas holidays, the festive season. Will you guys be rolling out anything extra?
Oh yeah, we are gearing up our Operation Winter Guardian campaign, which we do in conjunction with Arrive Alive 345 with the NDC. With the central government as well as the Department of Comms with the National Road Safety Campaign. We've been doing various media appearances on various platforms. I think we can count this as one of them as well. We have a couple more this week. Along with that, we have we're doing a lot of social media content. So we've had one video up so far, just to advise people. You know, we talk about road safety, but we're trying to talk about alternatives to make sure that people hosting events, whether they're private or corporations or businesses, think ahead in terms of making sure that their guests and their patrons have resources and opportunities to not have to drive home after they've been partaking in these events.
Right.
And of course, general tips about and reminders about road safety, safe driving behaviors. And then we're covering everything else because road safety is a large part of it, but we're focused on community safety as a whole and crime prevention. So all of those topics are covered, along with, of course, the enforcement aspect. So we'll have enhanced patrols, vehicle checkpoints, targeted patrols in certain areas. The hotspots that we see throughout the year, especially at this time of the year, and particularly going forward from this weekend onward and New Year's Day and Eve as well.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. Definitely when it's not the road safety, it's now the holidays, the festive season. You have commerce that are also needing more protection as well. And like you rightfully say, there are a lot of parties going on. So it's just, you guys, RSIPS is going to be very busy. And I'm quite sure on your social media pages, you will be sending out more blitz and that sort of stuff. But some of the persons who actually are causing a lot of this erratic and reckless behavior, I know it's all about public campaigning and that sort of stuff. How do you reach? Is one thing of going to the colleges and the older students to schools because they will speak to their parents. But how do you actually get to those adults outside of just going on YouTube? Is there, I mean, it's almost hard because they then have to subscribe. You're here, we got the reach. But it's not these kids, not all the time, that is really behaving bad on the road from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think not to get into too much of data and stuff, but a lot of the incidents in terms of traffic, especially serious ones, are kind of late 20s, going up to like 30s and stuff. So that kind of mid, young adult age. And so, we do take active efforts to target them. So it's not just our outreach in terms of social stuff is also promoted. So we do put money behind it. So it's not just those that follow us that will see it, but we try to get reach as much of audience as possible. And again, with the different platforms such as yours and the various others, I think we have a pretty broad range of the bases that we cover and the demographic that listen to the different stations, whether it's from the younger people that listen to the more urban music, to the people that listen to the oldies, and of course, you have your traditional Cayman stuff.
Correct.
So that we think will help us to cover a broad spectrum. But of course, we have our in-person, the one-on-one interactions the officers have with the public, because nothing is more effective than, like we talked about with this docuseries, conversation with a person. And so our community officers, we have, as part of the Operation Winter Garden, we do have the community patrols, community reassurance, but they're also spreading these messages. All of them have, even if the community officers during this period, they may get redeployed to the front lines operationally, but they still have their WhatsApp groups. They're still in touch with the members of their community.
Correct.
So they can get these messages directly, straight from the horse's mouth, as you would say. So those are all the methods that we try to take to reach as many people as possible. And I know that you guys had also spoken about doing some community meetings and stuff. So
so kind of with the wider campaign, we're working with different kind of partners in the community. So on Saturday evening just past, we took part in the Camana Bay Christmas holiday market. So stand there, we were interacting with lots of people. And I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't think we would have a huge amount of people interacting with us, but we actually had more than 100 people come by to talk to us about road safety. We had a quiz that people could take part of the test there.
Wow.
Road safety and kind of interactive elements. The community officers in Camana Bay came by to have a chat with us as well. And people are interested in the subject. And I think, so can go back to it. Camana Bay is one of our partners. We also partner with CUC as a big partner. We also have all the intergovernment departments. We've just partnered with Cineco and Inspire Cayman Driving, because they have like a safe driver's program they just launched. So lots of different community partners, and there are tons more. We've got Flow as well, Cayman Cabana, Thatch and Barrel. And I kind of don't want to miss anyone out, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now.
No, we won't get you in trouble. That's okay. We'll help you. All right.
Now while Mikhail's talking to make sure we don't miss any, but there are some really great partners out there that we are working with, because as we say, it is a community effort.
Correct.
And I think that's kind of working with the community. you may not follow us, but you may follow another page. And
Exactly.
starting in January, we're going to be rolling out the kind of some of the other kind of, I guess the word is influencers in the community as well. So like post social media pages and radio shows, etc. Those who people listen to, etc. Podcasters, etc. To try and get them the opportunity to be involved in the campaign.
Good.
Going through our partners. Flow,
Alrighty.
CUC, Civico, and let's see if I can load the full page. Stingray Media is a big one we've just partnered with. And I think that's it that we've confirmed, but the list is still growing all the time. So we're constantly adapting, constantly evolving, constantly bringing on new partners, tailoring our messaging, etc. So obviously when CUC came aboard, we had a radio show probably about 3 weeks ago with them, and they were talking about vulnerable road users as it relates to their work crews, because we kind of think vulnerable road users are just pedestrians and cyclists. Actually, it's the work crews on the roads as well, those who are making repairs to light poles.
Correct.
Putting things out. And obviously that's a point of frustration. People go, oh, yeah, I'm being delayed on my journey now. And they may be more impatient. And these crews are doing their jobs, and they're the ones who are also vulnerable because they're on the road.
Correct. We've heard some horror stories from the NRA and the Water Authority crews as well. That have these signs out there, and it's just amazing. Even you put the signs, road worker, whatever, people just speed by, and it's a risk. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But gentlemen, any closing thoughts, any final recaps you would like to share with us before we end this segment of Sabrina Speaks?
So I think the only thing we would urge everyone to do is take a few moments to watch a few episodes of the docuseries if you get the opportunity to. And it's on the Cayman Islands government YouTube channel, which you can search via YouTube, or you can also go to our landing page, which is www.gov.ky/road safety. If you access that page there, you'll be able to see not only other educational content we've done, such as blogs, but there's also a link there to the YouTube playlist, so you can, hopefully learn from the first responders who took part in our series. And
there we go. I just listed the link. I just posted the link.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I would just say from our end, from the police, if you want to follow our social media pages, a lot of that content that I just discussed will be posting there. So RCIPS_Cayman, which is Instagram, and then just search RCIPS, Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, on Facebook. Also, just want to give a shout out to the National Drug Council and their Arrival at 345 campaign. So coming up, the highlight of their campaign, of course, is the Purple Ribbon Bus, which is on New Year. So they've expanded it a bit this year with the support of the ministry to include a lot of side roads, not just the main roads. So it's like you have an even closer bus service to wherever you're going to be going or coming from.
Right.
There's really no excuse in that time for you to be drinking and driving, because every aspect of transport is taken care of for you, and it goes from 9 till 5 a.m. So I know most people, even if they party animals, they're gonna be most of them will be heading home by that time. If not, then they might be staying up all night on the beach or something, which maybe they should be all right. But yeah, just to make sure you're making your plans. Don't drink and drive. Make a plan, whether it's a Purple Ribbon Bus, a designated driver, taking one of the driving apps that are now popping up on the island, or a taxi for even walking.
There you go. Milo, anything from you?
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, gentlemen. All the best, and we're here. Don't forget us.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Take care, guys.
Bye. Have a great evening.
Likewise. Yeah, we want to thank Milo and Macau for sharing how, let me just let them out. So let me remove them. I don't want to ban them. There we go. There we go. I want to thank those two gentlemen. That was Mr. Milo Dack and Mr. Macau Campbell from RCIPS, both community specialists over there, for sharing how this educational public awareness and community behavior is definitely hoping it will make an impact, and definitely we can see our numbers this holiday season in road safety. We're taking that very seriously. And amongst all of the other happenings that will be happening in joint partnership with GIS, RCIPS this season, and it should be all the time. So there you have it. I hope that you were enjoying that episode. And now we continue with today's program as we shift gears now from highway to the House. Right now, you know that the House is in Parliament, and we'll be diving in our ongoing, pretty much discussions as it pertains to around the Immigration Transition Amendment and Validation Bill of 2025. And we know that this bill right now has been tabled on the floor of Parliament. It is right now being debated, and we're hearing from our leaders, our elected leaders, our elected officials, where right now, for what I caught, the mover of the tabling this, the Honorable Michael Miles, is pretty much appealing for unity, and he's asking for indirectly for it to be a unified approach, and I think he's hoping that no one abstains. At the end of the day, no one can deny that even in this space that we're not saying immigration reform is not valid, is not needed. That by no means has been the talk, that people are saying we don't need it, yada, yada, yada. What is being said, and nobody is saying about doing nothing, which is what one is trying to push. What we're saying is wait, slow it down a little bit, get more public consultation, get some more dialogue, because with now the 17 amendments that we're hearing that even the opposition were just privy to yesterday evening, they're saying no. And I can't speak on the amendments, which would show you that what we deliver here is what's in the public's domain. I don't have any backdoor stuff. No. So when you get it 99.99% of the time, I get it. So let's see what those amendments are. But what was profound is the fact that right now, both sides are saying, slow this down. It's the holiday season. And there's nothing wrong with bringing this in the new year. And that it was a big takeaway said by the leader of the opposition, that they were asking, and obviously representation has been made with him, to him from even the government side. If you think people are not talking, let me tell you, both sides of Parliament talk. The sides of the Cayman Islands, we cannot have elected officials where they don't talk to the opposition. And sometimes because we are all very familiar with one another, even on a personal side of things, outside of politics, they will be very honest and candid. Boy, I don't know why they won't slow this down just a little bit. We don't need to be dealing with this in the holidays, that sort of stuff. But for whatever reason, it's on the floor. What is sad is when you hear, but the government has the numbers. What is that indirectly saying to you, the people? What does that say? And they can speak in cryptic ways because we brought that up here, but people just want them to debate and debate so that everybody can understand. Call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Sabrina. Good evening, Sabrina, and good evening to your listening public. I've been listening to the debate as you've been. I think I listened to the whole of Michael Miles, the Honorable Michael Miles' speech, and I think it's only now, like Dwayne is speaking now. But
he was speaking when I came live.
Yeah, so he is still speaking now, and Joe spoke. I mean, I know the honorable, but we refer to is in. Cayman is a good place. You can show love for your leaders. You see, it seems very clear. Well, it doesn't seem. It is clear that they want to proceed with it, because Michael said, "Well, look, this is not the time to say that let's push it forward, or like push it. They can't do it now." And the opposition say, "Well,
your connection, Miss Lika, your connection is weird. Yeah, you're going in and out.
I'm going in and out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me try to stand up and see if it's different. Oh, by the way, I must apologize for yesterday. My lights just went out suddenly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I had no electricity and the internet, everything was out for about 2 hours.
Okay.
By the time I came back on, you were no longer on the air. So I must apologize to you and to your listeners.
Yes.
So you see, so they are going to proceed.
Mhm.
Government says they are going to proceed. The opposition are saying, well, look, we would have preferred that this is pushed to January because right now people are not really paying much attention. It's Christmas, and on top of that, it's just a shortage of time. And I liked some of the things that Joey said. He said, has there been a human rights analysis of the legislation?
Mhm.
I would love to hear the government respond whether there has been that, because there are a few things they've done which are kind of borderline and could be doubtful, but it would have been nice to have that done. By the way, the human rights assessment is in certain jurisdictions it's standard for just about every legislation, and they actually have a human rights section. Now, where you don't have a human rights section, the human rights review is done really by the drafters, because they are also trained in law and human rights, although they are not specialized in human rights. So that it will be interesting to hear from government whether there has been an analysis of human rights. For those who are listening, in every piece of legislation, you have to say, does this violate the principles of human rights which are contained in the Constitution, Part 2 of the Constitution, or even the European Convention of Human Rights, since that applies to Cayman. So that would be interesting. He also said, Joey, that he would have wanted to see a white paper. And that the white paper should have been the one that they should have taken to public consultation first. Yeah, first, and then come back later with a draft. And I took a note here. He said it was the whole procedure. He said it was the bill, the way it was being handled was procedurally tainted and socially divisive. I think that's what he said. Mm-hmm. And he also mentioned some clause, or like because you see, now we are totally confused. There's a clause in this committee stage amendments, and then
29,
there's a clause
I think
in
he
the
said
amendment bill.
They're a number, yeah.
Was it 29?
Mm-hmm. One was 29 and another one. But I mean, of course, we can't follow because these were all amendments that is not in the public's domain. And they themselves, the opposition, just got it late yesterday evening. And now it's being tabled before the parliament. That's an injustice to the people.
No, it's an injustice to the people. It's unfair to everybody. And I only became aware of this initially when the Honorable Kenneth Bryan was on OC's show, and he said, well, there are 17 amendments which we got yesterday. So he's saying
so two more were added.
Bill, yeah, 2 more were added. So there were 15 in other words.
Yes, there was 15 that was announced by the minister before, and now I was like, now it's 17. Oh boy,
that is another bad sign, because it shows that they are just doing it on the run. And Joey mentioned one or two clauses which are fundamental, like they go to the way in which status is going to be granted. And he said, well, look, how come you bring this as an amendment? And at the last minute, together with the other amendments, I mean, really, he made a lot of good points. And I don't know how you bring 17 committee stage amendments in a bill which is amending 37 sections
already.
In other words, about already, so it's like 17 amendments to 37 amendments to be debated in less than 24 hours. I mean, I don't know, but
that in itself is convoluted, just trying to understand it. But here we go again, caller. How do you balance maturity, political maturity, democracy, and just something being pranced upon people and people not even understanding what's being thrust on them in the way it's being done? No one is saying that we do not want immigration reform. I don't think, caller, that anyone can publicly say that anybody has says we're totally against it. I mean, when I'm saying we nationally, right? But it's how this is being done. And now you have 17 amendments. And you're just getting there, reading the clause, like half of the stuff that we've highlighted here, like it's nothing.
Yeah, Sabrina, the way I see it, I don't want to use a strong term, but it is bordering towards arrogance, where people really have come out. And I think most of the people who have spoken about this have been polite. The usual suspects, they spoke, they said, well, look, the government really should give people an opportunity to discuss these. Nobody has called them names or anything, and so I don't see why they are so intransigent. They want to proceed with it. I also didn't hear him say anything. This is Michael when he was giving his second reading speech. He didn't say anything about the regulations.
No, nothing.
Okay. Oh,
nothing.
No.
Who cares? They got the numbers. They got the numbers. So what are you going to do?
They've got exactly, and how do you have to explain why don't you have the regulations now? And you have to answer the point that we can't really vote on this bill if we haven't seen the regulations, because you are saying yes to something which has got it's an unopened box and you do not know what is inside. So I don't know, but to me, you see, this is the point I was trying to make yesterday when I started off with that long history. I won't call it a lesson, just a history account from 2003, 2004. To me, what I was trying to say there was that basically there has been a reticence towards meaningful immigration reform. Every time when it has been done, it has been like pulling teeth. The private sector are pulling the other way. And yesterday you mentioned about how they are actually preserving something which they shouldn't be preserving.
Exactly.
If
that's future. There's future that they're preserving. Totally opposite. But how can you realize where it is looking like a divide, right? Because we've highlighted certain things here. And now you're going to come somewhat composed, reading your script, going through the clause. You could have expounded on the clauses to say, we realize that this may have happened. It's your opportunity. But you're leaving it for the opposition, knowing that the opposition don't have the numbers and the Caymanian people are going to just swallow this.
Yeah, and you see, people really should stop saying we trust the government. It's not that they are crooked. We don't say that. It's only that, they do have certain pressures, and you should realize that sometimes they've got certain people who are, not sometimes, all the time, they've got people who are pushing them in a certain direction. They should insist on accountability. Now, yesterday, one of your callers said something about should we do a petition, and I think your response was, well, maybe whether you do it or not, you probably don't have time. But to me, that's where I think the government is pushing the people to say, what do you want us to do for you to listen to us?
Correct. That's where it's going to go. That's where it's getting.
Yeah. People are frustrated. Look, today, Dwayne spoke also about how it's a point I tried to make, one of the calls I made to you, which was that, you see, you can make the laws, even if the law were to be very good, there are certain attitudes on the ground that haven't changed. Because he mentioned he said there were some 72-year-old non-Caymanians still in government, and that they even draft their own terms of reference. Now, I don't know how he knew that, but I have to imagine somebody told him that. So, you see, these are the sorts of things which I don't think this legislation is dealing with. And the number of Caymanians, people known to me who I know have been really persecuted in government, I don't see that this law is going to assist them, because there's certain factual things, dynamics that have to change, certain attitudes. There has to be a willingness, for example, for a chief officer to call a head of department and say, Mr. Head of Department, one of your people approached me saying that you are not training them and so on and so forth. As you understand, our policy in the government is to train Caymanians. Can you explain it to me? I find that in Cayman, there is hardly anything like that which ever happens. Usually what happens is that when you go to a chief officer, or shall we just say higher, the higher authorities just say, oh, you have to accept the decisions of your managers. No, no, no. But if the managers are not fulfilling the government policy, which is to Caymanize positions, okay, you can't make a chief officer can't make a decision for a head of department, but they are the supervising officer. They can ask and say, well, what is happening here? And I just find that in Cayman, the chief officers are afraid to do that. Now, I don't blame them so much, because for me, it should come from the political leadership. The political leadership should have a clear policy set out there, probably in some, like it can be, for example, just a policy on advancement of Caymanians, something like that. They would have to give guidance as to what policy officers should do and how they should meet targets and so on. Because once you have a document like that approved by cabinet, then you see chief officers can feel now they've got that backing from cabinet, and then they can do those things. Because if they just wind up doing it on their own, they can become targeted, you see, and they don't want to do that. And to me, that is really required. Cabinet needs to, in addition to the legislation, they need to set out a policy document regarding the advancement of Caymanians in the civil service, so that can become cover for the deputy governor, it can become cover for the chief officers, it can become cover also even for the heads of department, who have to also enforce it to people who are in the lower ranks.
Right.
And unless they really do that, the legislation as well as the policy side of it, I think it will be very difficult for these things to be done. I mean, I don't see, for example, I won't mention a name this time, the lady who I one time mentioned to you was in the judiciary for a long time, ended up leaving. She was never appointed a judge. 2 positions of judge opened up when she was there. I imagine she would have been interested, but she wasn't appointed. This new legislation would not help somebody like her.
Right.
Okay, it wouldn't. But if they had it in the Judicature Act, for example, if it said, well, whenever judges are being appointed, if there is a Caymanian who qualifies, then they shall be appointed. Okay, then that's easier, because then I imagine that person will be a judge today. But because they have refused to amend the law, both the public service management law, refused to amend the judicature law, and all the other relevant laws to make that clear, these people are being left by the wayside. I know somebody else in the portfolio of legal affairs who's been there for 17 years. They haven't got $100 increment. So look. Let's see where it ends up. I would like to listen to the debate, but up to this point, I'm disappointed. I think they are ignoring the people, and I think the people are hurting.
I thought that I was actually the only one feeling that way. And remember, now I don't give a personal opinion in this space because of just allowing this space to be exactly what it is. And I'm so happy I've taken that stance. But at the end of the day, I have the right to listen. I have to listen in order to be able to come and deliver. But that was those were the first of the feelings that evoked. I said, oh my God, I now understand why people are saying to those who've taken the time to read it, to dissect this bill, to have contributed, to have given their opinions or made their suggestions, and saying, others saying, you got time? They ain't gonna pay you no mind. Oh my God. You know, what happens if this becomes the norm? And the dictatorship, I see where Denny is saying, and he, that he called me Sandy Hill. The Cayman Islands government is acting like a dictatorship. Shame on you, Andre Ebanks, MP for West Bay South, Gary Peanut Ruddy for Georgetown South, Michael Miles for Prospect, #immigration. But I can understand why now people are feeling deflated. It would be obvious if this continues and, let's say, pass just because the government has the numbers. Your only defense right now is the very same opposition that stands up and scream bloody murder, slow this down. Guess what? Because even those, which has been declared by the leader of the opposition, that there are even some in the government side is saying slow it down, but they cannot really do that in the public's domain, because remember, they all work together. Caller, what does that say for true representation from your leaders?
Precisely, and you see, I was just reading what as we were talking, what Danny sent in the message there, and so on. You can see a very decent frustration he expresses, and I think that is the frustration that, generally speaking, is being felt in the Cayman Islands by the majority of people.
But they're not
But
speaking,
Sabrina,
caller. All they're hearing is from Mr. Balika. All they're hearing is from Danny. I'm giving the outlet. All they're hearing is from Siobhan. All they're hearing is from Carrie. Sometimes Lisa. It's just the same bunch of people. Yes, we get them commenting, and I know a number of the persons are probably working in civil service, or many of them will have their businesses that they're fearful that unfortunately, the environment that is being created, I was moved by the touching stories that were shared about persons, our very own Caymanians that are looking for jobs. But there is political orchestration of blocking their very own too.
Yeah, you see, what the politicians should do is they should understand that there are a lot of people, probably people who even participate in the writing of this legislation and making proposals for it, who probably don't agree with what the ministers are doing. They should make allowance of the fact that, well, yes, maybe we are only hearing from the usual suspects, but there are a lot of people in government who probably don't agree with us. I mean, they should take that into account, and therefore, if they hear like a cross-section of 5, 6, 10 people, usual callers, they should understand that that is likely to be reflective of the way people feel, and they should try to respond to that. Because to me, this is the problem, the broader problem I think you mentioned a little earlier, which is like, what does it say for democracy and accountability? You see, this is a question I've also been asking, because if I look from 2003 up to now, immigration job preferences, really, has there been any change? Have elections been changing anything? When the people push a little hard, then they move a little bit, and then after they move a little bit, then they on the other side they undo what they are trying to do, and people are frustrated. To me, the government really must say. Danny Warren has made this proposal public about the net
Birth rate
of the
and
population.
the birth rate.
Exactly. And today, Michael gave figures. Because he said last year there were like 1,518 grants, and in the last 10 years, I don't know, it was 7,000 or 9,000. A big number.
I'm very happy
and
now that he's using data, though. I'm very happy that he's actually going public. Why wasn't those stats shared during the whole town hall thing?
The town hall stuff.
Yeah, this is not jabbing at anyone. The role that they hold right now warrants critique. It's constructive criticism, okay? And what is shared right there today, after you table it, you don't think if those stats were given, you got to control the narrative. Right now, it is empty what is being done. And the semblance and the feeling of what people are getting is that, so what? Whoa, so what? Take it. We got the numbers. And you know what? It would be nice of you to play along with us so that we can show that this parliament is all unified, and don't abstain. How dare you tell them how to do it? They're the voice, because obviously y'all are not listening. So you don't tell them, you don't preempt them how they're going to vote on the bill at the end of the day. That's what the opposition do.
Yeah, what a good point you've made, because it also registered with me that you are giving a second reading speech. A second reading speech is to try and say what the bill says, to try and persuade the other side, to try to bring them together with you.
Not dictating to them how to vote. You're telling them how you want them to vote.
Yeah, that you don't want them to abstain and this and that.
That's crazy.
That's not consensus building. No, I agree. It is crazy. That is not consensus building, because at the end of the day, these are the things, I'm sorry to say, which will affect the next election and how they are going to be viewed. But again, we don't want to wait until the next election. This thing has to be fixed now. Next election is
well, I can tell you this,
even
not
right
to cut you off, sir. If this type of behavior continues to display and the Caymanians remain quiet with this type of dictatorship style of governance, and you're doing this and the people feel like they're less. And look, missing the forest for the trees, because at the end of the day, you got let's say Danny is a troublemaker, Sabrina's an antagonist who lost an election, who has nothing else to do, just trying to create content. I'm just saying, how people are.
Some people,
But hold on. We all live in here.
Yeah.
And I need them to see how this is being rolled out. It has been declared that even persons on the government side is saying slowing this down. But of course, they can't, because they all sign an MOU that we're all in this marriage together. We're still on honeymoon. Hello, Cayman, wake up.
No, going back to the issue of statistics, right? It is very good that those statistics are there and he has gone out there. But what he needs to do is now go further, okay? Because the suggestions that have been made is, or rather, put it this way. He needs now to say, okay, this is too much. We have given too many. Yes, they are now part of the community, we will be part of them. But in future, we want to bring the numbers to such an amount. Rishi Sunak, when he was Prime Minister in the UK, he did say, he says, well, our numbers for immigration are so many, I forget, 100,000 or something like that. And he said, we want to bring them down to under 100,000. He said something like that, okay? And this is what he needs to do now in government, Michael, that is, he gives those statistics and now he says, okay, these are our projections regarding population growth, and these are our projections regarding what these measures are going to do, and our targets are such and such. You can't just say, well, look, we have given too many and now this is what we are doing. But how can you be sure that that is going to change? Mark my words, you could have even more status grants in the next 5 to 10 years with this bill.
Hold on. You deserve
this.
You deserve this.
Well, thanks very much, Sabrina. I hope I'm wrong, but that is quite possible because this is not taking effect until 9 years anyway.
You're not going to see the impacts. You're not going to see the impact for 9 years.
You won't see the impact because now I know the 1,500 plus. It was a particularly high amount because I understand there was a backlog, right? Because it was like 8 and 15 because the backlog and for they sort of like granted in 1 year what they should have granted in 2 years, something like that. But you see, at the end of the day, even if you are granting 800 per year, it's too many when your birth rate among Caymanians is less than 800. Okay, it's you need to. That's where the problem is. If you consider it to be a problem,
but do you understand?
You can't just.
One of the amendments, one of the 17 amendments as well that the leader of the opposition pointed out, which I'm only going based off of memory, and I stand to be corrected, is that now one of the amendments is that it will allow permanent residents of independent means to be able to get naturalized after X amount of time. And they will also be able to convert that independent means to a regular work permit. Again, I'm paraphrasing. It was just... I haven't been privy to this, but what I got from him is that the fees in which they're actually, it's a quid pro quo. He got it right. We give you some, but we just elevate the fees for the rich or for those who have a higher net worth. But at the end of the day, you're still not closing the door that you're saying this reform is going to be doing to protect your Caymanians. You're inviting a certain level network of people in order to balance the budget, but telling your people that we are doing this to protect you, bearing in mind that particular clause in the law that is going to probably unleash over 2,000 persons into the work market to be able to hold second jobs that are all civil servants.
Yeah, and Joey covered a little bit of that because he mentioned this example of a kid who came when they were a baby, and then he said something about how I think it's the father or the child going to court in the next few weeks or months for overstaying, and then he said, well, maybe the problem they didn't have $2 million because that's what you are going to require from people who get this PR by independent means. I mean, I think that Joey, hard off to him. He gave a very good debate, measured, not emotional, structured, with a lot of the things that people are concerned with. And he was not screaming at the top of his voice. He just said, look, these are the concerns. And he made it clear, we want to support you on this immigration reform. In fact, we support a lot of the stuff that is in there. But you are just rushing it because there's a few things that we have to do, like ironing out a few creases,
But caller,
in
the problem
but,
is being delivered by the leader of the opposition. Some people will miss the message because he's still PPM. They're so anti-party that they miss the message.
Yeah.
Remove the party,
exactly.
remove the color, remove that, and listen to what was being said. Listen to the fact that there are 17 amendments that is even bigger concern that was not in the public's demean, that were never presented to John Public.
Yeah.
Hello.
Don't kill the messenger.
Don't kill the messenger in this case.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that some of my social groups, the Cayman social groups, they keep saying that PPM, you are part of this problem, you're part of this problem. Okay, that may be correct, may or may not be correct, and people might agree or disagree, but let's look at
what they're
saying now and say,
yes. Yeah.
Look at what they are saying, because they want to support the government desperately, but they are just saying, hey, look, let's. If we just push it to January, maybe we can have a little bit more time to be able to deal with. But the other thing that was interesting, if I can end on this one, was Michael said something that was good, because he said that they will be consulting with the opposition about the next phase of what they are going to do, and so now reform. Now that is good, but I really would have loved them to hold it now, so that it is done all in one set, rather than we'll do the bill now and then we'll do the regulations later on. I don't think that is the right way to do. Well, let's see what else they say. I'm waiting for Kenneth to speak, because Kenneth is always exhilarating. So,
well, you see, that's the problem. His style is his style. Boddentown, East, John Seymour is his style. Then you have the leader of the opposition, cool, calm, and collective. But if you are really paying attention and remove politics, which is the same thing the government side is asking for, saying, please remove politics from this, and let's just do this in the best interest of immigration reform. But people fail. Civil society is now failing to remove politics and listening to what the leader of the opposition, Mr. Hugh, is saying. And they will probably critique whenever Kenneth gets up to speak and he becomes passionate about it and that sort of stuff. Let me tell you something. You can't tell somebody how they're going to pretty much speak or how emotive it's going to be when you see blatantly what's happening, that this is being forced down the people's throats, and it's as though you're telling people there's a flood coming, get into this ark, and you're not seeing it. Now, maybe a wrong analogy, but you get what I'm trying to say. You're being taken advantage of.
I mean, Kenneth was quite measured today when he was talking to OC on his show. He was just saying, look, I mean, we want to support this. Pretty much what Joey was saying. We want to support this. In fact, we support a lot of the stuff that's in there. We just want a greater consultation, so that we can carry our people with us. But the government is starting to look really like they might be acting in bad faith. It is as if they want to please some third party, as if some third party other than the voters is telling them, look, don't take it back to public consultation. What we have agreed with you now, we want it to be enacted. It's like, I think it was Danny who was saying that yesterday. He said, well, look, if you one common trick that politicians use is to say, well, let's do a little bit now and then we shall do it later. Okay, that's a common trick, and in Cayman they've used it many times. We talked the other day about the mortgage issue, which is now into its 7th year, because at that time they said, oh, it's good, we want to do it. but let's take it to the commission. Let's do this. Let's do
Mhm.
that, and so on. How many people have lost their homes since then? And some of those cases, which we mentioned a few days ago, a house was sold, and then in 6 months, they sold it for about 3 times the price. What does
Wow.
that tell you? It
Yeah.
tells you that it's a scam. So,
I really feel
well,
that people have
let's.
lost their way. This, like, they don't know how to fight because we're so small. We're outnumbered in our own country that they
Yeah.
would prefer to speak in the shadows or say nothing at all and hope it'll just fix itself.
Yeah, and victimization, it must stop. I mean, and the way they victimize sometimes is terrible because they look at you, they say you're a Caymanian, okay, fine, like me. How did I get victimized? It was because I was trying to be fair. I stayed out of the local politics in my first few years in Cayman, but after a while, I started getting passionate about certain things. I would see my friends, Caymanian friends, really under my nose being mistreated, and then
Yeah.
because I say, can you please treat this person fairly? Then now they turn on me, oh, you are trying to help Caymanians. You are now also a problem. Do you see? So all of us are suffering, whether you are Caymanian or not. So long as you are pro-Caymanian and you say, I'm part of this community, I want it to be fairly treated, they victimize you. Cayman is too small for anybody to be victimized, okay?
Exactly.
Cayman is too small. Everybody is a second or third or fourth cousin to the other one. And I think there's need to, that's one of the things I like, which Dwayne said. He said something about how we need to learn to love each other now. I don't know how you teach people to love each other. I suppose they can go to church a little more, but I just like the fact that he said that we need to learn to love each other and to be able to pull together, even if we disagree sometimes. I mean, there were good things from all speeches, and I'm sure there will be good things from other speeches, but in the end, the question is, where is the beef? Let me leave it there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to
Very
have
good
you on.
talking to you, Sabrina.
Always a pleasure.
Okay,
Thank you so
bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
You too, thanks.
Sure. There you have it. 9368255 is the number to call to weigh in on this. I'm seeing some of your comments here and I'm posting them. Jim says, people don't listen. Sadly, they respond to be heard. It's all about party. Who likes who and who doesn't. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Typical politics. Look at the USA. Well, I could be honest with you, that is a big problem here. And we feel the impacts of that type of mentality, Jim, because of our share size. And like I said, I have no stake in the game here in regards to where this goes, but puts me in a very good position because I can look at it objectively and just critique and call it for what it is. And to be honest with you, what we're feeling right now is exactly some of the comments that are coming through, that we're being taken advantage of. One, because the government definitely has the numbers. Two, so what? Our people are passive. Whoever is possibly pushing this agenda that they're comfortable with having so much amendments being done at the committee stage, and you, the voting public, you, civil society, have little to no say in regards to these 17 amendments that will be done and the impacts that it will be having on you because of maybe the targeted audience that they're targeted and they have wealth behind them. But like we said, if that is indeed the case, and I think the leader of the opposition alluded to this, you're still putting all of these fees one way to deter, but you're still taxing the very same people that you are actually needing to keep monies circulating in our economy. It's not really making sense. They said it right. It's a quid pro quo. We amend the law, meaning we amend the law that makes the environment more favorable for you all, because at the end of the day, yes, the people of the Cayman Islands are saying we need to protect them, but the reality is we need your money. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to definitely table this. They're a passive group anyhow. Only a few will be making a noise, get on a talk show here, get on a talk show there, but that's okay. Christmas is coming. They're going to be sidetracked anyhow. Here's $500. Let's shut them up. Is that what we're settling for? And then you know what? When we present this, it is in the best interest of the opposition to play game right now, because it didn't look too good that they all abstained from the national budget in finance committee. So I wonder if they're going to do the same here. We don't know if that is the substance behind why it was presented in that way. We don't know. But exactly what the caller alluded to is of poor taste. It is of poor taste. And I feel you're missing the message because we're too caught up. And I understand party politics. We're just too caught up in party and missing the obvious. Let me tell you, these amendments that I have privileged to be seen, that is in the clause, I can't speak on what I haven't seen yet, okay? But just the section that I pointed out yesterday about civil servants, non-Caymanian civil servants being able now to come out and compete, that pretty much is protecting them. Should there ever be a list or an industry that protects your very own locals, once they are a civil servant, that is now embedded in law, that they will be able to come out and work in even industries that is predominantly by Caymanians, Houston, we got a problem. We got a problem. How can they say that that is the case and they're protecting you? And then you're opening up other parts, like total new sections are being added that there would not have been any public debate on. Now, if these 17 amendments were placed in the public's domain, where are they? And how long? How long were they out there? Have we heard from the government? Have we heard from the ministry of these 17 amendments prior to it being tabled on the floor of Parliament? Or, okay, because the Caymanian society is so passive, they're so hush-hush, they're so fearful of whatever, that they will, it's only going to be a small percentage who are going to talk about it anyhow. They'll suck it up. We'll butter them up. We'll butter them up eventually. Is that what we're settling for? Is that where we're headed? Because if that's where we're headed, let me tell you something, everybody's going to feel this. And some people will say, well, we got to start somewhere. But I tell you what, I feel with all of these amendments and the mere fact that this is only phase one, the fact that you have members sitting around the very same table with you that says it should be slowed down till at least the first quarter of 2026, who's really running the country? Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, we got a compliment on you. They didn't realize how handsome you were and even your voice. I found it. Yeah. Somebody complimented you, Denny.
Well, appreciate it.
Yes.
I remember when you had a break in the last government and you were part of the group that came onto the radio and talk about the differences that in process about how the government was being operated in the last administration. And what I find interesting is that the premier seems to be doing the very same things that he was complaining about leading up to the election. You can't have a situation that is not procedurally fair be defended by him and others who are in cabinet, and then but then criticize a previous group of people for not following procedure either. That's duplicitous. I mean, I'm not shocked that politicians are duplicitous, but I didn't really expect Andre to be that way.
Remember,
Because
this is not taking up for him. For context, 8 cabinet ministers, 3 independents, 3 CINP.
Mhm,
The premier is TCCP.
mhm. And
You
like
really
in the
think he
last,
controls the cabinet?
wait a second. In the last administration, when things were not being done properly, he stepped away. He resigned from the being a minister.
Why would you want to do that? I have a reputation to protect.
Well, does that mean that the last time he resigned, it was just a game?
He would have to answer that. I know my reason for
I,
walking, and
I,
he walked
I,
with me for the record.
I understand, but the point I'm making to you is that if he wants to give us the impression that he doesn't agree with what the government is doing, then I would expect him to step down in the same way based upon principle.
But we
Because
don't
what
know
is
which
being
government
done,
members spoke to the leader of
I,
the opposition, is what I'm saying. But let's say.
I'm not, this isn't just for the premier.
Mhm.
This is for all of them.
Gotcha.
If you believe that what is being done is wrong, you should resign, make a statement, take a stand for something, okay? Because the damage that will be done by this bill, with these provisions that, especially what you outlined yesterday,
Mhm.
that is going to have a profound impact on the Cayman Islands.
And remember the one
Because
about the national, the BOTC and all the children being here for 10 years, that they're belongers.
Exactly.
That is that isn't even amended. That gate is still wide open. And now we're definitely putting civil servants, non-Caymanian civil servants, where they can also compete in the workforce.
Absolutely. And so I would find it hard to accept that he does, that the premier would want this for the country. Okay. But if he just goes along with this, he pushes this forward, and though whoever the others are, or I shouldn't say others, whoever it is that are ministers that don't agree with this should make a statement. They should not just accept this. And the public, people, if you sit down and you think, oh, what difference does it make if I say anything? That is a defeatist mentality. It is cowardness beyond measure. And that will not help us. We have great power that we are choosing not to use. And we should make our voices heard, because this is the time to stand. Tell the politicians to stop this nonsense. How could you have almost half of the bill being amended, and we don't really know what it is? We haven't had an opportunity to weigh in on those amendments.
You just hear it on the government thing. You just hear it.
The operative word in public consultation is public. I shouldn't have to explain this, but public consultation needs to be public. How do we weigh in on proposals if we haven't even heard them?
They can do that, Denny, because not our culture does not speak up or speak out. I don't know if it's pride. I don't know if it's fear. I don't know if you don't want to rock the boat. I don't know what the apathy is, Danny.
Well, if they remain silent, what happens will be as a result of their inaction.
Maybe they're at a network that they can just pick up and go to another country. Who cares? But where are, I'm hearing, I think John said, he's the voice for the voiceless, hope for the hopeless. That should be the consensus of everyone when it comes to listening to your people.
Well, is he calling for the government to engage in proper public consultation?
What little I caught, because he was still speaking even when Mr. Balika was on, and when I came live that I had to cut it. I got from him that it is the way in which it's almost being forced down people's throats. So in other words, for what I caught, I can't say what his presentation was, but what I did catch is that he was in his own way without calling it. And I don't like that. Just call it for what it is. Slow it down. Speak clear language. Stop speaking code in between the lines. That doesn't help anybody. But what was a takeaway for what little I heard from him is, be careful what you're doing, because the same people that you're running is the same people that you need, and pretty much globally. And he did some comparison with some other jurisdiction where, we still need people. We're still going to need people from around the world to help us.
That's not the point. Nobody's arguing that we won't need people. What we're arguing about is whether we have the policy properly developed that protects our interests.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's only what I got. As I said, I did not hear his entire presentation. So
right, but what you talked about yesterday is a very, very damaging thing for this whole effort, because the government is clearly looking out for someone else's interests, and it's not Caymanians.
Or is it who is writing it?
Yeah, I can understand the National Party wanting to just barge ahead with this, because they told us that they want to just run it like a business. Well, businesses don't ask you for your opinion; you just implement things whether you like it or not. Now, I think that's very poor, improper governance. Okay, but when it comes to politicians who didn't take the position that they're going to run it like a business, then they need to actually take our views into consideration. But in order to take our views into consideration, we needed to be afforded of the opportunity to know what the issues are, so that we can give our view. You can't have 17 amendments for the amendments that was never publicly discussed. That's ridiculous.
And the first time we're hearing about them, we're not even hearing about them, is from the opposition, because they were just fed them, but we didn't even hear the amendments. I stand to be corrected, from the government.
Well, I think the premier should be ashamed of himself. I think all the other ministers of cabinet, the members for the national team told us the truth. They said they're going to run it like a business. So they were really telling us they're not going to ask our opinion. They will just implement as they see fit. So they weren't being dishonest, even though I disagree with their position. But the balance of the ministers was trying to give us the impression that they're looking out for the interests of the Cayman Islands. And what I've learned about this amendment bill makes me feel very sad. The Cayman Islands, the Caymanian people need to speak up. If there's ever a time, I'm not sure you're understanding how serious this is.
Oh, I do.
Okay. I'm not.
I know. I'm just, yes.
Talking to the public. This is very, very serious. This is going to have irrevocable consequences to the rest of our lives. Now, if you don't care about the Cayman Islands, you can just pick up and leave. I'll be watching. Whoever picks up and leaves and just go, I'm going to find a way to shut the gate so you can't come back. Because that kind of attitude is utterly disrespectful to the public of the Cayman Islands. And it is very damaging to our people. We need to do better than this. The government should be ashamed of himself. I want the governor to stay out of this. This is a political issue. The governor needs to stick to her area, which is good governance. That's the operational aspect of things, not the political layer. This is a political issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the public needs to hold their politicians accountable. If you're listening to me right now and you think, oh, that's just Denny talking,
Mm-hmm.
you're a very ignorant person just to think that. It's not about me. If you think if you think that this is just about me talking to hear myself heard, you're sadly mistaken. Because when you begin to feel the consequences of what this will mean in the future,
Mm-hmm.
when you hear people stand up in what I describe as the Legislative Assembly, also known as, quote, Parliament,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear foreign voices, okay? You are going to understand what you did to this country in this bill.
Mm.
And if you think that you're going to get the preferential treatment in the future that you're getting today, you're sadly mistaken. You better hope you have somewhere else to go, because there's not going to be much difference between here and going somewhere else if you allow this nonsense to happen. This is shameful. Shameful.
What do you say to those persons when they realize, like you rightfully said, the equation or the formula with the birth rate versus the population growth? But those persons right now, right this second, are saying, we're already a minority in our own country. What's the sense? To you, it may sound like I'm repeating this, but every time you constantly hitting the nail on the head, Denny, I have to ask that, because I'm getting that from people. Like they're lost. They're seeing what's happening, that the train is actually derailing. But at the end of the day, I don't know what to do. I need my little money. I need my job. Boy, we could just wait for 4 years. Just make sure they give me the cola. What do you say to those type of people?
Well, when this bill comes in that non-Caymanians can work in areas that Caymanians should be working in, and Caymanians are displaced because of the non-Caymanians, you think that's going to make life better for Caymanians? I mean, this is not rocket science.
We
This
don't
is
even know how
basic.
that's going to be, whether or not there's going to be a quota, whether or not there's going to be a percentage, whether or not, if you're working in certain government departments, that you will not be allowed to get second jobs, or if it is a case where you're only limited to certain jobs. How it's being recommended, Denny, it's actually wide open right now. It's
Right,
wide open.
because what they're doing is they have come to us and they have given us part of the proposal for what they want to do,
Yeah,
because they're withholding the regulation. So we don't see the whole picture,
correct.
right? And despite the fact that they have not shown us the whole picture,
Mhm.
they're saying, tell us what you think. And then when we say, well, don't you think we should understand your entire proposal before we give you our opinion?
Mhm.
And they're like, no. You that's enough. You don't need to know any more than that. Do you understand how disrespectful that is?
Mhm.
They think that we are fools. Okay? And if you sit there and you side with them and you allow that to happen, you're in the same category.
Yeah, see the 25.
have-
See the 25 there. I posted on the screen that amends Section 55, the Principal Act, to make it clear that persons employed as civil servants may carry on gainful occupation in the islands, including gainful occupation in respect of any restricted area of employment, Denny. That any restricted area of employment, Danny, is actually like putting something in there because they know what's coming in the next phase.
That's right. And when I heard you explaining this to the public, all I could think to myself is, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
This is not good for Caymanians. And if we have Caymanians who are unwilling to stand up for Cayman right now, when would be a better time to do so than now? I'd like to hear an answer to that. When would be a better time to stand up? Because right now, Cayman needs your help. The reason we live in a society in the way we do is because it is not possible for any one or two people to just do it all themselves. So we need a larger group. That's called a civil society, which means that in part you have to look out, in looking out for your own interests, you have to also look out for the interests of others. And if you refuse to look out for the interests of others, it will not be long before you find yourself alone. And it's not going to be nice. Now, I know that some people can't bring themselves to not be selfish, but we're sacrificing the entire concept of what the previous generations fought hard to give us. And we've inherited it. And to some extent, I could see how we don't fully appreciate what it really cost and felt, the pain that it felt, the sacrifice that took place to give us what we have today. And so we might not fully, because we don't fully appreciate that, we might be reluctant to fight as hard as they did.
Right.
But one day, your children will look at you and your grandchildren will look at you and they will wonder, why were you so afraid to fight for them? And in that day, the people who are looking at me and saying, oh, that's just Denny, they could say that all they want. I really, really don't care. But I know that I will be able to look at my children and say, the odds were against me, but I fought anyway.
Yes. It's true.
I hope that Caymanians will stand up. And all you need to do, you don't need to sacrifice anything. All you need to do is say, I'm hearing things being discussed that we didn't hear when you were doing the public consultation. And we want to have further conversation on this to get it right. Nobody's trying to derail immigration reform, but we need to get it right. That's all you have to do. Just tell them, please stop. But if you don't do it, if you don't pick up the phone right now and contact your MPs and tell them to stop now, they're on the second reading, right?
Yeah, they're on the second reading. It's being debated by the members of the opposition. But right now, what they need to do is everyone needs to WhatsApp, because they're in Parliament. I stand again to be corrected because I'm not watching the live, or I don't have the live on.
Yeah.
But if they're there, send them a WhatsApp message if you so happen to have their number. And just make sure, and I'm not going to cut you off tonight, Denny. I'm going to actually continued with this conversation. But it is that important. And this is a public appeal. This is a public cry this evening, that people are feeling disheartened, that this is going, first of all, how it was tabled, the tune, the mannerism, that it was tabled. It's a poor taste. It's a poor taste. And it is a slap in the Caymanian people's faces, civil society.
Yeah, and the public needs to understand that the reason why they're going through this the way they're going through it on this second reading is when they call for the vote, that's going to be it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I don't think, repeat that again for me, Danny.
When the vote is called for the second reading of the bill, that will be it.
The third reading, the
decisions-
third, they're on the second reading now.
Yes. Yeah, but the third reading is that's essentially a formality.
Mm-hmm.
This is the meat of the matter.
Yes.
That's being in the second reading is the meat of the matter. And if they wish to pivot, now is the time to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask the public, please, if you don't want to do it for yourself, I ask you to do it for others. Please contact your MPs and say, look, we want some more time for proper consultation. Pause this process and let's have a proper public consultation. It can't be, I mean, I would like to hear any of my critics send in a message or call into the show and tell us why 17 amendments that we don't know what they are
Mm-hmm.
should be passed. This is 17 amendments to the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah. Hold
So
on.
think
Stick a
about how
pin.
complicated that is.
Stick a pin. I just want to tell all of my persons who are streaming from the CMRTV.com channels and Facebook and YouTube that you're going to go over to the Sabrina Speaks 12 YouTube and Sabrina Turner Community Activist on Facebook, because I have to end this live on their page, but I'll be streaming. I'll continue this conversation on my actual pages. I want to thank you all for joining me. Please tune in tomorrow for another episode of Sabrina Speaks, but we will continue. Once you're on the Sabrina Turner Community Activist Facebook page, this discussion will continue. And likewise on the Sabrina Speaks 12 YouTube handle. So I'm going to end anything that's on the CMR
you should
platform.
post the links on this before you end it.
Good God, where's those? Let's see. Yeah, they're there.
It you know what is really frustrating is that people don't take action,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't tell you why they're not taking action either.
Correct.
They just sit there in silence, and this is a really, really serious. These changes are really, really serious.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to affect us forever. Don't buy into the argument that, oh, if it doesn't work, we'll change it. No, when you're dealing with rights, you don't just willy-nilly change things in that way.
Correct.
They don't have any intentions of coming back in 6 months and doing anything that's going to counter what's already done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll extend what they've done, but they're very unlikely to counter it.
Right.
Because then they would have to explain why they did something wrong in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unlikely to happen.
Correct. But I think we need to get to a point in our society that speaking like this shouldn't be feared. And I think there was a post here earlier on that persons, Tanya said, I think many people have a hard time to make it on a daily basis, that the thought of speaking up on matters of government making decisions with immigration or others, it's just too much. They care, they just get just exhausted. I kind of see where that person is going. And that is what I actually alluded to earlier.
Okay, but think about what that's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
They understand the problem, but they don't want to do anything about the problem.
Correct.
What I hear is
Is it because they don't know, or they're like, or they're fear?
I'm getting the feeling that it's fearful, because if they understand, then I would imagine that, well, they understand, but just are afraid to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're saying you don't understand, then you're arguing in my favor, which argues for more proper public consultation about the subject,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I sense that people are fearful, especially business owners,
Yeah.
because your business can be destroyed if politicians decide to be vindictive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there shouldn't be any retribution for saying, I don't understand what you're doing here. Could you please let's have a proper conversation about this,
Right.
a public consultation process about this so that we can get it done correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're saying that, you're not saying, I don't want it done. It's not saying anything negative about accomplishing change. It's just saying, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to penalize me because I don't understand all of what is happening and what the consequences of these things will be,
Right.
be very weary if a politician decides that he's going to explain this to you in private. Because what he says in private doesn't mean anything when it comes to going to court and litigating any of these provisions.
Right.
At all.
Correct.
Even if he gets on the radio and says, oh, here's what these things mean.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't matter at the end of the day either. That's opinion. What matters is what was actually legislated. And what I heard you explaining yesterday
Mm-hmm.
is deeply troubling.
I mean, you can't get it no more open. And I mean, what it clearly says is that this particular section, when compared to the 2022 Act, it wasn't clear. Now they're making it explicitly clear. So there's no ambiguity. Who, as in civil servants, now being able to work in private sector, non-Caymanian civil servants, being able now to work in the private sector.
In other words, take jobs that should go to Caymanians.
Exactly. Because of exactly how Section 25 is worded, it says, including gainful occupation in respect of any, Denny, the key here is any restricted area of employment.
Right. Any means all.
All.
Without exception.
Yes.
What it also means is that when you put these types of provisions into a law, then you're going to have the politicians that are legally bound by law to defend the non-Caymanians taking Caymanians' jobs.
But then you're speaking from both sides of your mouth.
I agree, but the point I'm making is that the way Caymanians are going to look at it is that, well, the politicians should be looking out for us. But once you put this provision in law,
they're not.
Now you are legally obligated
to uphold
to defend the right of a non-Caymanian to take the job of a Caymanian.
Yep. But the thing is, how many Caymanian civil servants tried to get a second job or maybe even start a business and the doors were closed in their face? For the amount of times I'm hearing in these recommendations of these objects and reasons for these recommendations, making sure that these foreign nationals who grace our shores, guest workers, whatever you want to label them as, has adequate income to support themselves and their dependents. Listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. That is the justification. Now let's flip it on the other side. What if they're saying, okay, we have the skill sets in the civil service already, even though they're non-Caymanians. Let's open it up so that we don't have to bring in any more persons, therefore not needing any more work permits, other persons bringing people, because people are saying of the Cayman Islands, the population here is too much. Let's put this in law so that these civil servants can also share their skill sets in the public area. And then, that's not additional people being brought in, because Danny, there's almost 4,500 civil servants, not including statutory authorities, right? We do not know, again, data is key. We do not know of that number that I just stated, how much are permanent residents, how much are persons married to Caymanians, and how much are just on contracts. You understand? This amendment is saying anyone who is in the civil service that is non-Caymanian, that is not PR holder, that is not the spouse of a Caymanian, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are now allowed to work outside. What we don't know, if it's going to be for a fee.
And in areas that would normally be for Caymanians.
There we go. Which, under the PR system, the point system, there's really no priorities occupational list. The minister himself, in presenting and tabling this bill today, says he has a cabinet paper ready for the discussion with caucus and cabinet for the next phase of this reform. Oh, really? Now I can see why they were so bold in putting this clause 25 in, because maybe they have an occupationals list, priorities list already, and they can afford to put this in there, because even though it's prioritizing areas and sections for Caymanians, guess what? Civil servants ain't barred from that. Non-Caymanian civil servants aren't barred from that.
Well, yeah, because they have it in law
already.
And they claim that they were going to change. I think it's was it 26 or 46? I can't remember, of the public service management law, where it talks about the way they interpret it is that when they're looking to fill a position, the question is, does a Caymanian have as much qualifications as a non-Caymanian, and therefore should be given the opportunity? That wording, that isn't right. They were supposed to be correcting that, but what they've done with this provision is makes it worse.
And if I see where the real Michelle is saying the list is probably hidden in the regulations. Real Michelle, that is why we're advocating to know about it. We heard absolutely nothing, and I stand to be corrected, about the regulations.
Well, I mean, to me, I look at this as treasonous act.
Kerry calls it genocide.
Well, it is economic genocide is what it is. That's correct. Because the consequences will be that Caymanians will continue to struggle. They've changed the form of the bill, but Caymanians won't really benefit any more than we have been. And okay, so they're telling us that we should just trust them to bring regulations to make it better for us. While we're looking at provisions in this bill that goes contrary to what they said they wanted to do.
It's only contrary to us because we don't have sight of what's to come, unfortunately.
No. What you talked about yesterday, I think it's 26, right? 26 of the bill.
25. 25 is the one about the any occupations. 26 is about the mandatory for prospective employers to also pay to be on work. And they're mandating now
No, I'm talking about the non-Caymanians.
Okay, that's 25, clause 25.
Yeah. All right. That message there is not what they were conveying to us when they were talking about immigration reform.
No, never.
And so why should I believe that they're going to be looking out for our interests when they're right now doing things that are contrary to our interests?
Exactly.
These are very substantial. These are not just minor issues, If this doesn't resonate in your head as being troublesome, I suggest that you please read this document. Please read this document. Because just because you right now are not concerned with it doesn't mean it won't affect us all. And once it's done, it will be very hard to change it.
Of course. Of course.
So when you talk to people about reaching out to the government, what kind of feedback do you get?
They're lost. The looks in their eyes, to be honest, is they're lost. They're expecting me to do it. And I'm trying to say, look, it takes every one of us individually to do that.
Why is it that they think, okay, so all right, so if society
They want somebody else to do it, Danny. And they're not
okay,
understanding that each individual carries their own weight.
well, okay, so let's just say, how many voters do we have in the country?
The national number, I really don't know off
Just
the top.
roughly, just roughly.
I want to say what, 4 or 5,000? No.
No.
In general, nationally. Oh God, Denny, I don't know. Let me see if I can pull it up. But continue with your thought. Let me pull it up.
Okay, so if it takes a majority in order to make change,
Mm-hmm.
why would people look at you and think that only you can say it and it'll get done?
Because
Why
they put
is
me
it-
in the front line, I guess.
Well, okay, so in the election, would they stay at home and put you in the front line during the national election?
We're not going there, my friend.
No, but the point I'm making is that it takes more than just you or me to do anything.
Yes.
But so I fail to understand why people think that just one person needs to say it and that's sufficient.
Mm-hmm. 25,682.
Right. So me and you versus 25,000 people.
Mm-hmm. And that's across
how-
all, that's officially as of October 1st, 2025.
Right. So why would a minority be able to affect change and have the majority sit there and depend on the minority to say things that are difficult to be said
Mm-hmm.
because they're afraid? Listen, you're going to have your rights taken away from you.
Hmm.
And let me tell you what some people are going to tell you. I'm not going to say this, but some people will say this to you because they say it to me when I try to go through the scenarios with them.
Mm-hmm.
Or they tell me what position they will take, I should say. Is right now they're asking people who are afraid to help us make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
If they refuse to help us make a difference, when the time comes that they realize that they were wrong and they want to actually make a difference in the future,
Mm-hmm.
some of those people are going to say, you're on your own.
Correct. Every
But
tub on
that's
their own
not
bottom.
going to help us.
No, it's not. It's going to further divide us and cause chaos.
Right. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
And-
We need people's help.
This is why togetherness, you hear us call for unity. And you hear us call on this platform, Danny, you and I have brought it up more. You need collective, unified approach. And this is one time Caymanians are going to have to band together. And this is nano-generational. This is anybody who has a right to vote. Everyone who has the potential of being a Caymanian here at the end of the day. You're going to have to come together because eventually, if you're on your way to or have a pending status in, more than likely what I'm seeing here, these recommendations, you're going to be Caymanian. You're going to be included in this fight.
Yeah.
The percentage of the 20% of the overall population of indigenous generational Caymanian, whatever you want to label us, is not enough.
You remember
Go ahead.
remember when they had when they brought in the key employee provision?
Yeah.
I remember being on the Trade and Business Licensing Board and hearing people argue vehemently about why certain people were key to their business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that in some cases that's not warranted because there is special knowledge in some cases, but the quantity that was being argued was outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And a brilliant, and I mean brilliant, civil servant asked a question that I mean, I was like, wow, because that person got right to the heart of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had all these people arguing about why this employee had to be key.
Mm-hmm.
And the person was like, do you understand the risk associated with what you're arguing?
Wow.
And they're like, yeah. And then many of them got key employee,
Mhm.
went on to become Caymanian. When they got Caymanian status, they went and formed a business to compete with their previous employer.
Mhm.
Okay, took their customers because they know how to run. They know how to run the particular business, right?
Mhm.
But what the civil servant asked the employers before they made some of the foolish decisions that they made was, if this person is so important to your business, what would you do if the person drops down dead tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
They said, but I'll have to get another employee. And, and the civil servant says, well, there you go.
But nowhere in that did you say succession planning, earmarking for a Caymanian to replace. It was just
Right.
another employee, as in more
Right.
than likely
Right.
another work permit holder.
But but the point is,
I got you.
is that the context of the argument, I just want to emphasize this,
Mhm.
is that the employer was saying,
Just
I
get another one.
desperately need this particular one.
Mhm.
Okay.
And if
And but the person couldn't understand that no one is indispensable.
Sybil. Mhm.
Death proves that. Okay. And that doesn't mean that there are not some people who are just extremely valuable for a number of reasons, right?
Mhm.
But that's not the majority of people. You know how many businesses then turned around once their former employee went on to start a business and compete with them, wanted immigration to do something about the key employee who is now Caymanian?
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you understand how naive that is?
I got it.
Jesus, please, let's stop doing foolishness.
I think they're
We-
looking for the way, and let's see exactly the outcome of this, which is sad. And I'm hoping that people take the public appeal or the call that you've made for them to message their MPs. It doesn't matter whether or not they're a part of the government or the opposition, but let them know exactly how you feel with everything that we have covered here, with what was said today, even by those who are tabling, by the opposition. There is, but the biggest revelation is the fact that there are persons right now in the government side that is wishing that this was not being tabled today as well. That
Well-
signals even more trouble in the camp than is letting on to be.
Well, I suggest that those ministers speak frankly with their supporters. I understand the collective responsibility aspect of ministers, but I also understand that Section 19 of the Constitution requires the government to act procedurally fair.
Mm-hmm.
And procedurally, this isn't fair.
No.
You shouldn't be considering amendments, major amendments to almost half of the bill. And the public was not even consulted on it.
Blind.
That's not procedurally fair. In other words, I wish there could be a lawsuit brought against the government for breach of Section 19(1).
Very interesting, Denny.
Well, the government is obligated to act lawfully, rationally, proportionately, and procedurally fair.
And this is wrong.
And that's correct.
This is wrong.
Procedurally, the amendments that should be made in the committee stage of a bill should be very minor
Correct.
things, not policy decisions.
There are whole new sections that I'm hearing about that are just being put in there.
That That is a breach of Section 19(1) of the Constitution.
Who's advising them though? Why would they feel okay to do this?
Because there is Caymanians will, beat up their gums, but then it'll just die down in a week or two. And that'll be the end of it.
Do you realize you said what I said, but just in a different way?
No, I'm not, I wasn't disagreeing with you.
No, I didn't say you were. That was
Yeah.
deliberate because I wanted you
Yeah.
to say it. It only proves my point.
Yeah. But the thing is that we need to stop that because it's not going to end well for us.
No.
Now, you see this whole thing about what they put in the budget about dividing fees by nationality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My God, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. To me, these are the signs of a want-to-be dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can expect this from the National Party because they
campaigned on it. They told us what they were doing.
They're going to run it like a business, and businesses don't ask their employees what they're going to do. Ask for their opinion about what the employer is going to do. Okay?
So
But
Danny,
I can't.
do you think this is some sort of light as to which party is controlling the cabinet, despite there being a premier that is? I'm asking.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure of the numbers of how the balance is on this thing. You're telling me that there are people who are ministers that disagree with this. So I don't know who they are. I wish I did. But I understand that the majority of those ministers are carrying the policy forward. But if the minority of ministers are wishing to make a statement, to stand for something that's bigger than themselves, then maybe what they should do is resign from their positions over this.
Do you think not even a year in that the Cayman Islands is ready for that? Understanding what happened October
The Cayman Islands not ready for what is going to happen when the bill
Danny,
passes.
but they're still saying this is the last hope. For those of you who are joining, this is this grouping is the last hope of stability. It's going to, we can't have a repeat of
nonsense.
We
just made the case that nobody's indispensable.
I know, but for context and for the purpose of this discussion, what you're saying, for them to actually resign as a cabinet minister because of what is being displayed, they may be fearful because of people not truly understanding it and what this means by doing that, because of possible international reputational damage and their own egos, their own possible loss of the seat.
Well, what I would say to that is that what is going to happen to the Cayman Islands
on the bigger picture, yes,
is more important than some temporary setback. In fact, I don't see it as a setback. Think about what happened as a result of the group that stepped away in the last administration.
To this day, a lot of people don't understand that move, but history will actually prove we stood up for something like what is playing out here now. We found the breasticular fortitude, and the one male found the testicular fortitude. Yep.
Now, that's what I would call someone with courage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder what happened to the courage in those who were willing to do it the last time, but aren't willing to do it now.
The one who pays the piper plays the song.
And I'm going to translate that in case there's someone else listening that doesn't understand. If big business, non-Caymanian entities, want something done, there are people in government who's willing to bend over backwards to get it done, regardless of its consequences to Caymanians. Now,
More
I
than
beg you,
warranted.
I beg you, please do not waste this opportunity to contact your MP and ask them to call for a postponement of the vote, pending proper public consultation. The future of the Cayman Islands depends on it.
Mhm. I think the broader picture here and where we're having silence, and somebody who's seen me out in the public's domain says, Sabrina, to be honest with you, people are embarrassed for what has happened. They're embarrassed because in many cases, and I felt it was a testimonial or a confession, sorry, a combination of both. They took what was handing out. They were swayed by the charismatic delivery. And now this is what cashing in looks like.
To a person like that, here's what I would say. I would, like I said earlier, I don't share the view that some people hold when people reach the point that that person has reached where they realize that they were gamed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't share the view that I would say, well, I'm not going to help you, because not helping the person is not helping myself. Okay? It's not helping society. It's only going to make things worse.
Yeah.
So what I would say to the person who would say that is, I appreciate that you're willing to recognize that,
Mm-hmm.
and we ask for your assistance
Mm-hmm.
to rectify this particular problem. We can't change what happened in the past with the election.
Mm-hmm.
That
It's
is
gone.
what it
It's
is.
water under the bridge.
Let's deal with this challenge, because these are things that are going to have a profound impact
Mm-hmm.
on us, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we need your help.
Yep.
So I ask that people contact everyone they know, to contact everyone they know, to contact the MPs, asking for the postponement of the vote on this bill, pending proper public consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that this is a breach of Section 19(1), in that the process proper.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. Let's see the feedback, Danny. And you know what people are saying? Tanya is saying maybe most Caymanians feel they voted and have now the result of the elected government, and they make the decisions for the best of the people who voted for them. No need to speak up. It was a question.
Okay.
No need to speak up. That was a question.
Okay. So the clause 25 that you covered yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
do they believe that the persons who voted for the majority of the government would be okay with that provision? Would they? I mean, I would really like to hear what they have to say. You see, I asked.
We don't know what advice was given to possibly the minister on this. We don't know if it was an oversight. We don't know, because I alluded to this yesterday.
No.
Devil's advocate. Go ahead.
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Wait a second. Public consultation,
Yes.
is different from what advice the minister receives.
Correct. But what I'm saying,
This process
it shouldn't have been there if they were really meaning what they're saying.
Well, even let's just say, just for clarity, let's just assume, worst case scenario, that the minister got bad advice. Let's just say that that's the case, for the purposes of this conversation.
Correct.
Not saying that's true.
Yes.
Just,
understood.
right? Okay. That is different from the process that of public consultation. Okay, so public consultation means that after they have received advice from the professionals and they've put together something and sent it out to the public, it is the public commenting
On it.
on it.
Hold on, let me merge
That-
this call. Hold, stick a pin so I don't miss you. Good evening, caller. I've just merged the call. Denny will continue. Go ahead.
So what's important to understand is that once they come to public consultation, regardless of what advice they receive there, if the public doesn't want certain provisions because it's not in our best interest, the government should take that into consideration. And for those who believe that, oh, we just voted, just let them make whatever decisions they want, I want to hear you tell me that you're okay with non-Caymanian civil servants being able to take up positions that are for Caymanians. Because remember, one of my arguments that I've been making to this government is that it should be a clear provision in the law that says all jobs are for Caymanians. And therefore, work permits are treated as an exception to that general rule. And so, in other words, the way that I would prefer that it be done is to have that provision that says all jobs are for Caymanians, except if a Caymanian isn't available, et cetera, then a work permit may be granted. But when it comes to jobs that should be for Caymanians only, we shouldn't say that these jobs are for Caymanians only, because that runs counter to the concept that all jobs are for Caymanians.
Correct.
Right? So you can't say all jobs are for Caymanians, but only these jobs are for Caymanians. That's insanity.
Stick a pin right there. Please keep on the line. Good evening, caller. Weighing in on
Good
this
evening.
conversation.
Good evening, Denny. It is always great to hear you. This is Siobhan. I was listening to you earlier, and Sabrina and I have also spoken about this immigration bill. I don't disagree with very much of anything either of you have said, but I just wanted to specifically comment to your point, Denny, and some of the points that you've made. You said that it's a breach of Section 19(1). A lot of us, let me not say us, a lot of Caymanians, voting Caymanians, people who aren't even registered to vote, they don't see this bill as being an impact to them. And I'm not trying to degrade or to denigrate anybody, but they don't have an understanding of the bill itself. And I believe that one of the larger problems at hand is people hear immigration reform and assume that we're going to have a situation like what's going on in the US with ICE and we're just going to round them up. That's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. And I don't think that the public at large is really, truly, like, we can do a poll to see and understood what these changes mean. I don't think that you're going to find that the numbers are very high. You may find people who have read it, but may not understand it. But
I agree with that.
And I will go a step farther and say, I personally feel that was the objective.
I agree with that too.
Some people are saying that's why they did it during this season, so everybody's taken up for the holidays and all of that sort of stuff.
Where people's heads are in a different space. Now, I want to publicly state that I want immigration reform too, but I want it to be done sensibly. I want it to be done with full participation with the public who want to participate. That's just the way democracy works, right?
Right.
And I accept that there are people who don't give two hoots about anything with the government. They're not registered to vote. They just don't care. They live, they breathe, they exist, and they don't see how something like this could cause greater issues down the road. That's one sector of Caymanians. There's another side who say, well, and I think I highlighted this to Sabrina either last week or earlier this week, that, well, they're not going to take my things into consideration anyway. There's no way to even know if they've received what I submitted. How do I even know? Am I going to get an acknowledgement? How do I know if my suggestions have even been considered, or are they going to say, that came from Siobhan? Well, her. How do we know? How do we know?
Can I respond to that question?
Absolutely.
If it's done publicly, they received your.
But again, this goes back to the same conversation that I had with Sabrina, where I said that you ought to be able to show where we received. There should be an audit on these things. We received 50 submissions. We received. I don't care, but the public needs to know.
It should be public. The
public needs to know. The public needs to know that. And I know that they're going to say it's anonymous, as it should be, but the public needs to know that somebody submitted that blue cars don't drive on Tuesday. It doesn't, for me, it's not the substance, it's the process. It's the process. And we need to get the process right, because if we, for me, I just go back to where we are right now. And I mean, my blood was boiling as I was coming down with my daughter from school, who is about to enter sixth form, who said to me, oh, and by the way, you need to apply for my acknowledgement as a Caymanian. Look at the mess that one single piece of legislation has caused and costing. Right? And this is why it is so imperative that we get it right. Measure twice, cut once. We know how long it takes to either repeal a piece of legislation, get it fixed, and forget about the political will, because that goes out the door the day after election. Right? But the problem is, I don't understand let me say, I don't appreciate this rushed. Either I don't appreciate it. I will publicly state, I absolutely, fundamentally believe that this country needs immigration reform. I don't have all of the answers. I would like to see submissions of other people. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I made a suggestion that I can say that, but maybe there's a counter or a balance or something of some sort. But this, it just feels like ramshackle, push it down your throat, like it or lump it, and if you don't like it, leave. But the persons that are going to be most adversely affected if we get this wrong are Caymanians, and even the ones who are going to become new Caymanians by the change of this bill.
Exactly. And you know how many people don't appreciate what it means to be a Caymanian until after they become a Caymanian?
Yep.
Well, Denny, I'm going to go this far, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone who has come across their Caymanian citizenship by way of status, but there's no real pride or emphasis placed on it. It's almost like an entitlement. It's almost like a right, an administrative check-the-box process. So
you see the value about isn't taught to us. And so it's not a surprise that we don't have the deep appreciation that we ought to have that you're referring to. Now, I understand the history of why Caymanian status came into existence. So,
correct.
To me, writing for an acknowledgement letter is not a big deal. Now, would I prefer that that the public the rest of the public could also see why that makes sense and not give too much emphasis on convenience? Because to me, the inconvenience of having to apply for that is not that great. The benefits that it provides us outweighs that inconvenience tremendously.
Absolutely. And I won't disagree with you there. But I am insulted and offended that as the parent of 2 Caymanian children, as a Caymanian myself, they have 2 Caymanian parents. What else could they be?
No.
From the moon?
Oh, well. Now you're getting into an issue of sovereignty. Because we are a colony, the nationality of people that we call Caymanians is enacted in UK legislation in the British Nationality Act. And so we are British Overseas Territory citizens. But that's not enough to protect us. So the concept of Caymanian status had to be created because there are ways in which you can become a British Overseas Territory citizen. But when you become a British Overseas Territory citizen and have Caymanian status, that is what actually provides us with the protection. And the problem is this: is that most Caymanians do not appreciate that what it means to be a Caymanian is to have Caymanian status, because the word Caymanian is an abbreviated term. If I was to spell out the entire term, when you say you're Caymanian, what it literally and legally means is that you have Caymanian status. And
because that's the only one that's ever been defined by law.
Okay,
that's the only. But stick a pin, because for me, and I understand, I guess, where you're going with it. My problem, my argument truly wasn't the substance of Caymanian status versus Caymanian, no definition and all of that.
Right.
My position was, my argument is, or point is that law was, if your parents are married before 19 this and then you take your mother. All I'm saying is, look at how much I am personally insulted. You're absolutely right. The inconvenience that it causes is very minor. However, the embarrassment that I feel, that I'm insulted that I have to go down to the department for somebody to give my child, who is absolutely none other than a Caymanian, a piece of paper. If we had time to fix it, and we still didn't fix it. For me, it is offensive, and I'm saying, just use that one example and see how getting things rushed and ramshackled, how you can get it so wrong, and how many people are being affected by it. And your solution isn't to come out and say, we got it wrong, let's make it right. And the way that you make it right, to me, is more insulting than the way you got it wrong.
There you go.
Miss me with it.
But,
I am disgusted.
You know what you're actually emphasizing right there is that when a politician makes an amendment to a law, what they're actually saying is that they have a new solution that they are proposing for to correct their previous solution, right? Because their previous solution was also either a new enactment or an amendment.
Wrong. And
the problem
was wrong.
Yeah, that
call a spade. It was wrong. We got it wrong. There's no acknowledgement. There's no accountability. There's nobody who gets up and says, "Listen, that law was created when Methuselah donkey walked the earth, but principally it is wrong. The impact that it's having is so adverse that we need to take the bull by the horn and address it." I could go on for days on end. Sabrina, don't have enough time.
How do you think
obviously
it should be addressed? How do you think that should be addressed?
I got one epistle, Danny. I have one epistle with
I'm
notes
sure
and
I'm
everything.
sure you can give us the executive summary.
how. First
To
of all,
address it, yeah.
first of all, for me, Caymanian, being able to be identified as a Cayman. First of all, scrap the piece of law. Make it such that Caymanians are identified as at the time of their birth. Now, how do you go back and fix all of the Caymanians who are currently affected by it? Well, there really is no fix. That acknowledgement is really the only fix for people like myself. And I dare tell you what, anybody tell you that they issued one to Siobhan Hyde, you can tell them I said, they're a liar.
Okay, so what you're saying is if the person was born in Cayman, they would be Caymanian?
No, absolutely no. What I'm saying is, if I can, myself and my husband are Caymanian. We have, let's say by way of acknowledgement, there's either a change to the legislation or a new piece of legislation that set from the onset that Caymanians are identified at the time of birth. You roll up to you remember now, you got to have that live birth form, right?
Right.
When you go down to the registrar to register your child, you should be able to make all of that declaration there. You should be able to make all of that information there. You roll up there with your, well, in my case, it would have to be an acknowledgement letter because that was the remedy available to me in place of the foolishness that they did. There's no way to really correct that. So we got to use that acknowledgement letter as a remedy. But my child shouldn't have to now go get an acknowledgement letter when she turned 18. She should be identified as a Caymanian by way of the correction that they made
with you
in giving me an acknowledgement letter that identifies me and my husband. Remember, in order to be Caymanian, you only need one Caymanian parent. You only need one Caymanian
and
parent.
Especially if it's the mother, that's a no-brainer. We know.
Correct. And what I'm saying is, if I've identified, for God's sake, I can tell you what my grandma said. You always know who their mama is, but their papa is subject to change.
Aye.
You understand? And so what I'm saying, if I am the Caymanian mother, I don't even need to carry unless I want him on the birth certificate. You know, I'm not suggesting we scrap or skirt those laws, but I'm just saying for the purposes of this conversation, in terms of being able to identify and or determine who is a Caymanian, Christ Almighty, if I am a Caymanian mother and I have a child or 10, they're all Caymanians. If their father is a Martian from the moon, it matters not. And that is something that can be identified at birth.
Especially if you've done what you had to do. Especially if you've done what you've had to do. Yeah.
When you roll up to they're focusing on this. They're missing the forest for the trees. They're so focused on this digital ID and ramming that down our throats, and they can't even fix the mess that we currently have that people can definitively say and know with confidence, I'm a Caymanian and it's recorded somewhere other than me having to go down to immigration and wait for somebody and dear God, they're all singing from a different handbook. You can't get the same answer from two people. And I'm just saying it's ludicrous and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be this difficult. It is embarrassing. My daughter's telling me, Mama, don't make a scene. Just go get it. You hear? Because I need my scholarship. I'm embarrassed. I feel like I've lost a part of me, that I have to take this walk of shame. Now, people can be offended by this. I got to go down to the immigration, take a walk of shame. When I tell my expatriate friends that I got to go down to the immigration to be identified as a Caymanian, I can see that they won't laugh, but they don't know how I'm going to respond.
Hold on a second, guys. Jim is saying I must give you a big kaboom. Give you all a big kaboom.
But this is the consequence of having a master.
Danny, where you going?
You are correct. You are correct, but we're also a self-governing country, and I know that was just smoking.
Go ahead.
In theory, and I know that that's all smoke and mirrors. But what I'm saying is, somebody, when you talk about the breasticular fortitude and testicular fortitude, somebody got to say something to somebody up there and say, look here, this not working. This not working. Foolproof is a solution to correct this anomaly from I think it's 78.
7 to 7. March 21st.
Correct this
Yeah.
anomaly. And look here, and UNA can be able to have access. UNA can know we're going to be able to produce. Remember the report that they were supposed to be producing on a monthly basis where they were supposed to tell you how many people born in Cayman?
It's in the law.
I would like to know when the last time that report was produced.
It's in the law. It's a part of
I would like
the
to know,
duties
but
of,
all
but
I
it
am
said
simply,
to feed to cabinet. It didn't say to go public. It says to
Yeah, but
give,
it's-
to present it to the minister
we
or cabinet.
deserve to know, as citizens of this country, what our population is growing by. We deserve to know. We know how much coming in on the clean air day.
Mhm.
We don't know how much going though. They don't talk about that. We don't know how much being born. We don't know what the ratio is between Caymanians versus expatriates being born in this country. We don't know that. This is empirical data that needs to be and can be tracked. We're not some million population people. Hell, we're not even 100,000. In the hospital, only got 9 or 10 rooms.
Mhm.
And each one only got about 2 beds, so that's 18 women. So at any given time, to be fair, I would say they have a full house at 18. If they did one a day, that's still easily trackable and recordable. I
Correct.
don't understand why we are still having this conversation about go down and get this acknowledgement. If you
Well,
got that piece,
the reason is because we haven't changed the law as you have suggested.
Said,
but this is what I'm saying. So instead of you ramming this new piece of legislation down the people's throat, and there are people who are saying, let me tell you what I genuinely believe the problem is. And my life coach said it to me, and she said, Shiv, sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger.
Mhm.
Listen to me. I wish I knew who I could give it to carry it for them. Because I don't listen, I don't care who gets the credit as long as the work gets done. That's my position. That's my position, right? So if I knew tonight who I could send down to that parliament and say, we got pump brakes, we got the pump brakes, we got measure twice and cut once. That is the basics. Look at that one piece of legislation that I just highlighted, and although it may seem so insignificant for somebody who not Caymanian by way of right, let me put it that way, by way of right, they're not offended by having to go down to immigration. They have a whole certificate and a ceremony that should be reserved for me.
Well, you just said you don't want to go through that. You just want it to be automatic.
It should, but what I'm saying is we celebrate them. We
Yeah, they have
celebrate them.
evidence.
And
They
they
have
have evidence and they can prove. So you're trying to tell me now that you created a piece of legislation that effectively, in my opinion, and I could stand corrected, puts them ahead of me. And the remedy you gave me was, see, I'll go do that. See, I'll go do that. That's the remedy. When the real remedy should be an apology and a change of legislation so that my children, my grandchildren, their children shouldn't have to go through this. You can identify a Caymanian at birth. I don't understand. But then we don't have to find out who the messenger is, because this thing is going through. And I don't think anybody, there's probably nobody more than me that wants immigration reform in this country.
But to hear you
But not
speaking
this
like
one.
this,
But not this one. But not
yes,
this one.
yes. To hear you
But not this
speaking
one.
like this now, Siobhan, I'm going to be very honest with you. That is evidence that there is some serious, serious issues here.
Well, if nobody else wants to tell their MPs to delay the vote and let's have proper public consultation on these issues, I'll stand up and be the only one to do so. All right?
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there.
I'm challenging the public.
But I don't want to say what my MP be doing.
Please.
I'm not do that. I'm not involved. And it ain't checking about who got comments about the bill.
Well,
Lest I digress, but anyhow.
Well, isn't it something that we should know?
Then that's for another day. That's for another day. That's for another day.
Well,
that's for another show too, huh?
The problem is that today is probably going to be the day the decision is going to be made.
And I hear you, and I hear you, right? But who holds? I know the answer, so this is definitely a rhetorical question. But who holds them to account?
The people.
Who holds them? And that can only be done every 4 years. You can beat up your gun.
No, at any time. At any time. We just need to find the guts.
Do it right now.
Yep.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we can get out there. We can get out there and beat up our guns. What though? But and that's really what it is. And we lose interest and we lose focus very fast. We like goldfish. And it bothers us for 1 day. It bothers us for 1 day. And then we lose steam, we lose speed, we lose inhibition, we lose ambition, and we get worn out too quickly. Oh, well, I'm not gonna change, nothing gonna change. Oh, that's Sabrina, oh, that Danny, oh, that's Siobhan. And you get very discouraged. That's one aspect of this. There's a whole other side of this coin where people actually had a conversation with someone today who said, y'all, you know that so and so is my HR, and you know where she's from. I'm not getting involved in this.
Oh wow!
I said to myself, so you mean tell me that you got make some board that come here on a team, make you this uncomfortable, that you not gonna speak up or you not gonna say, I just want nobody is. I just want people to say, no, give us some time. Give us some time.
So the person who asked if you don't know who their HR is, and what they're saying is that if they right this minute send a message to their MP saying, please let's have proper consultation, their MP is going to go to their HR and tell their HR what they said to them in a text message.
No. Let me tell you something. Let me spin this for you. Sabrina she operates the show. She can tell you, Sabrina, how many Caymanians have you had, if any, come to you and say, boy, I don't really want to get involved in this because you know how that go in the workplace?
A lot. And they're actually whispering. They're actually like looking, making sure.
This is real, Dennis.
A lot. Denny, it's a lot.
And
even as a minister who understood what I stood for, they were like scared to even come to me.
But the problem is there is no protection for people like myself and Denny for saying the things that we say. I'm not getting out here and say, let's go protest, let's beat down the door.
You shouldn't need protection when this is your right. This is people standing up for what's right. Because if good comes from this tonight, everybody will benefit.
Hold on. Remember you said earlier the man that plays
the man who plays the piper plays the song or chooses the song.
There you go.
But
we have hold on one second, Dennis. Hold on one second. We have industries that are so interconnected that we have ministers sitting at the helm of them, and they get up in Parliament on the parliamentary privilege and talk a big talk, and what they're going to do, and they're going to shut down this one and shut down that one. And under me, there will be no more of this. And under me, there'll be no more of that. And under me, and that's not going to happen. And then you see them out to lunch with this one, and then you start to hear.
Yes,
I'm gonna tell you this now. I'm gonna tell you this. There ain't no smoke without fire. There ain't no smoke without fire. And am I suggesting that the same former candidates that got up and made grandiose promises about, let me put it in air quotes, taking back Cayman, are the same people, now MPs out there sitting down with persons who, in my humble opinion, have not and will not ever have this country's best interest at heart. They have demonstrated it through their words. They have demonstrated it through their actions. And I have no time to entertain anybody, Caymanian or otherwise, who don't Caymanians. Caymanians should be first, and Caymanians must be given the first opportunities where qualified. I don't care if you contributed the 100% of the Cayman Islands GDP. That was the condition that you came to, and you came to this country knowing that those were the requirements. But you heard what you said? The one that pays the piper gets to play the song. And for too long, somebody else has been our DJ, and it wasn't Caymanian. It wasn't Caymanians. So this is so far-reaching. I mean, my blood is boiling. My blood is boiling because we're not talking about we're going to change the opening hours of government from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. They do that on the radio and don't tell nobody. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a fundamental change that will forever change the face of this
17
country.
additional?
That will forever change the face of this country, how we live, how we move, how we breathe, and how we operate. And how we operate. It feels like they're saying, we are doing it, like it or like it not. If you don't like it, you can leave.
Well,
that's how it feels.
That's the tone. It's not how it feels. That is the tone. But then on the other hand, let's put up the fees for you to even remember now, it's not going to impact the domestic market, but you got to pay.
First,
go ahead.
Well, my son says, first of all, you can put the fees to the heavens. You can put them to the heavens if you want. Creating a fee so outlandish and outrageous is not a deterrent. Then I got people out there walking around with PR that they can't collect their fees now, and the people not left island.
And then you got those where these fees are so nominal because of what they're going to get back, quid pro quo. It's making it's nothing. That's what they would do on a night out.
I keep saying either you are going to have, I can say balls. You're going to have the balls to actually make a change to legislation that says exactly what you mean, or don't skirt around and put a foot in and divide it by nationality and divide it by amount and divide it by this and cutting it. No. If your objective is that no red cars will be on the road on Monday, put that in the legislation. Put that in the legislation. Don't segregate it out and leave room for a little bit to the right. And well, what did you really mean by that? Well, did you mean cherry red cars or maroon red cars? Or no, make it abundantly clear. Make it abundantly clear. But we can't be dancing about and skipping and hopping and not making clear what you want to do. I spoke to someone today about the licensing. Look at that. Dennis said it earlier. I'm not here suggesting that it was right or wrong. I'm not sure if I have an opinion on it just yet. I just don't think it's the solution.
Well,
I just don't think it's the solution.
Siobhan, the problem that we have right now is that, to some extent, the previous government made a decision to incur multi-million dollars in expense at the last moment in the form of a school in Cayman. And government got locked into that. So this government needs to pay for it. So to some extent, this government is saying, well, how do we pay for the foolishness?
Either we tax them or we tax you.
Right. But
if further, to create a further pain in the bottom of their belly, as if it's not bad enough, as if it's not bad enough already.
But they don't need to. Okay, if you are going to do that with a driver's license, there is something else going on there. That's not just about revenue. I hear the idea, that legally we could charge non-Caymanians more. I'm not arguing that that's unlawful, because I've looked at Section 16 and I think it is lawful. I don't think it is wise to do so. I don't believe that we should be on something like a driver's license, that you should be saying,
segregated.
Segregated. That is not going to
happen.
help.
Soon we gonna have Caymanians can shop Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and everybody else can shop Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well, that kind of almost reminds me of the lockdown.
Some
But
people
then
mightn't mind that though.
But that's
But that's not the solution, though.
We know that.
That's what
I'm
I'm
just
saying.
again,
It's
I'm
not a
just keeping
solution.
it open. Some people mightn't mind it.
Those people who would want that, and I just want to be clear. I made a comment about the lockdown. Is that what you're referring to, or are you talking about something else?
Who?
You made the comment about. Well, I'm going to be honest. Fundamentally, I disagree with the process in which the lockdown took place, but I didn't mind it because I didn't see people didn't see me. And I saved my ass.
Yeah, but
But I disagree with the process.
okay, but the inflation that the world is grappling with today
Yeah.
is as a result of that lockdown.
Absolutely.
That lockdown was simply unaffordable. Okay, now
Yeah, but you're saying that as though this wasn't the intent.
oh no, I'm not.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm not. But that's a completely different subject.
Okay.
The point I want to make is that if a person says, well, you know what, I'd like to lock it down.
I would like
I enjoyed that. That's not affordable. The Cayman Islands government has borrowed money. It needs to repay that money. So it needs a certain amount of revenue in order to pay our bills.
Agreed.
So that's that is not gonna.
No,
that's not the way to go.
Hear me when I say that I appreciate the rationale. Well, I don't know if I appreciate is the right word, but I comprende the rationale. It's just not rational.
Like they say that the mathing.
The math ain't mathing.
The point that I want to make is that when you're talking about something like a driver's license, dividing the lines on nationality, that we're gonna live to regret that. Okay?
What I was trying to say earlier is right.
Take that and lash us with it for the rest of our lives.
But they don't see it like that because they see it as a driver's license. They see it as something very inconspicuous.
It's a beginning of things to possibly come.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I gave the analogy just now about Caymanian shopping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, everybody else Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right? That might sound outlandish, but think about and compare it to what you're speaking about in terms of the driver's license. How is that any different? What stops them now from waking up and saying, and by the way, let me tie it in. By the way, Caymanians can be on the road Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Can only come out Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well,
but if you can divide the driver's license and I know we get into the restriction of movement and freedom of movement.
Yeah, correct. No, you're correct. Right? You're correct.
I'm hearing all of those things, but if we overlook process and due process and proper process and consultation and common sense, for God's sake, if we are willing to just give a blight to this that I think is fundamental, then there is some Caymanian down in the background, probably in my family, cheering when they hear no foreigners on the road, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Because in their mind, this is a solution to the problem. They haven't considered the long-term ramifications. They haven't considered the interruption to our socioeconomic fabric, our social fabric. They haven't considered these things, right? And I'm going to bring it home. We come up with something that's stupid and ludicrous, right? Guess what? My Jamaican helper that I need to be able to go to their people work Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays can only come to me Tuesdays and Thursdays. Can only come to me Tuesdays and Thursdays. Which of the 19 come and watch my children? Which one? Which one?
Can I extend your argument a little bit?
Silly.
What about when all of the people that they want off of the road, out of the Honda Fit, because they put it, they want them to take public transportation. What happens when the public transportation can't get them to work on time
Mm.
for their business?
That should not be called public transport. That should be called a public debt trap.
I don't care what you put in place. If it's run by government, it's going to be a mess.
Well, we know that.
Well, when
They
you
can't put
talk
on two
about
shoes, right?
public-private partnership, as long as it goes out on bonfire and it's fair and anyone can actually get it and there's not nepotism or cherry picking.
Who said that there's not nepotism? Who said that there's not nepotism? I believe that people in public authority have an obligation to avoid the mere perception of impropriety, the perception of it. So no, I don't think it would be appropriate for Sabrina's son to be a nurse at HSA or the chief nurse reporting to her. I don't think it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why that's so hard for them to grasp. But who is going to call them out? Who is going to say this is not okay? Who is going to say that Denny, who has never been a contractor in his life, gets to build the West Bay Dock because he submitted a proposal? He never been a builder in his life. He never can get business license. This is the foolishness that we're dealing with. People just wake up and come up with an idea. And you got a friend who's an MP, and boom, overnight you are a builder. You're a bus driver. You are. Listen, we don't have enough time for this.
Let me tell you, I want you to. I'm loving this, and I think I got spile under because I can continue these, and I don't mind doing it, because we got like no, it's not that. I mean, if they call in, fine, we'll take them. But I'm posting the messages as we go live. The mere fact that we're doing this now speaks volumes of the public cry from what both of you are doing right now, that you must speak out. The question is, Parliament resumes tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And this bill is still, the immigration bill is still being debated. Each member of Parliament has 2 hours, if they so desire, to speak on this bill. Denny has called out. Siobhan is saying, call out your MPs and tell them to slow it down. It was declared on the floor of Parliament earlier on by the leader of the opposition that even members on the government side are saying this should not have been tabled in this season right now, that there's being distraction. There's too much distraction. Is that the play? Is that the ploy?
Do you think that the government knows that there are people on their side that don't want this to go through?
Well, it was made known and it's in the Hansards and it's now on this podcast forever.
They're going to say that they're going to say they misspoke. They misspoke.
I can't take you, Siobhan.
What you say is true.
That's the sad thing.
And when they go down, and when they get that set up there, turtle meat, and they go down that little side room, Sabrina, tell them, and they go down that little side room, and they look across that table at you and give you that dirty look, you get back up, and then you change your tune. You change your tune because collective responsibility. Well, I can tell you the only responsibility that I'm collecting is the one to my 2 children and the rest of the children of this Cayman Island. And if I got to pick up my bag and go home, then that would be what it is. And you ain't getting nothing done up in here because what you're doing is absolute rubbish. It's an atrocity. It's a disgrace to the people, to the children, the future children, and the current children of this country. To just run something this serious. Christ Almighty, they behave like they're putting. You know how they're treating this bill? Like the 1 million side, the 1 million pedestrian crossings that they're putting down. I feel like when I get up in the day, I feel like Oprah's 12 Days of Christmas. You get a pedestrian crossing. You get a pedestrian crossing. You get a pedestrian crossing.
But the sad thing is, when you look at even how this first phase of immigration reform, and this is by no means, I'm going to call it for what I'm seeing. The biggest takeaway from all of the amendments and clarity that I'm seeing thus far is to every civil servant. They're the biggest takeaways of this,
They've gotten the freedom to now work in private sector, should this bill pass as is and not slowed down, in any area. Remember now, any of them who have had children that were born in the Cayman Islands right now and has been here legal and ordinary resident for 10 years, those children are automatically BOTCs. You hear me? Are you listening to me?
Tell them again, because they're not, I tell you, they missed the
person.
No. You might as well say they're effectively Caymanians.
They're okay.
I would just go and say, I think that you saying it that way is politically correct. Right. I don't quote Donald Trump often, but I can tell you what, the man said political correctness, you got to do away with that.
But that, my love, that was not even a part of the amendment. And it's there. It hasn't been touched. That wasn't even spoken about. And remember,
well, there's two things I want to say. One is, Siobhan, that pot of turtle meat had looked awesome.
Then I was just eating turtle meat when I was talking to her on the phone.
Oh, Jesus. That's why you gone up today tonight, and I fasting and praying.
The other comment that I want to make is that those who are too afraid because of their employment situation, please find the courage to let your MP know somehow. I don't care how you do it. Please let them know that we need to have a proper conversation about this, because our future depends on what you do.
I appreciate that, Denny. Let me ask you a question, and I feel free. I know the answer, but you're not a shy guy. Did you submit? Did you make a submission?
Everything I've said, I've done it publicly.
Did you put it in writing?
No, he said he's done it publicly, which is best. It's best he's done it publicly.
I agree with you, but they're going to say that's not. They're going to say that's not the process. They're going to tell you, but that's not the process, Denny. No, and we could not take your suggestions into consideration because the requirement is that you make a submission.
He just
you send this email to somebody in East Jabib. You don't get a read receipt. You don't get an acknowledgement. You don't know if they've seen it. You don't know if they hit delete. You don't know if they said, that's Sabrina. All she does complain. Delete. Okay. You don't know.
Let me see if I'm getting this straight. You want me to, around 6 p.m. in the evening when the traffic is really rough going to Marimilla Hall, to physically go out to Marimilla Hall and engage you so that you could tell me you're not going to listen to what I have to say?
Oh, wow.
Pretty much.
Okay. Well,
but that's the process.
I'm not going to say what I'm thinking right now.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's the process. And if the process says 2 T's and an I, that's what we have to do, because they can, something as trivial, you can get out by the parliament. You can write it on a scroll, chisel and slate. They're going to use any excuse to not give people what I think is due and fair process.
I will spend the rest of my life making sure they never get reelected, because they're not good for the Cayman Islands.
Can I join another caller so we can wrap this up?
I can tell you like what I told Sabrina.
Hold on. Let me see if I can merge another one. Since it looks as though we're going to have let's go. Good evening, caller. Now I got 3 of you on.
I'm not going to be long.
Go ahead.
I have pretty much a devil's advocate position. For either Denny or Siobhan to respond, I'd really like to hear Denny's take on this. So, in this real world that we live in, do you think that even if we had 3 more months of public consultation, that at the end of the day, when the powers that be meet where they're going to meet, that they will still not make the decision that they always intended to make from day one?
Can I go first? Can I go first and listen?
Okay, she's listening. Go ahead. Whoever wants to
Okay.
answer that first.
He is 100,000,000%. They're going to make the decision. What we are arguing for is due process.
Mhm.
And just like Dennis said, if you follow the process set out by legislation, by which these things should be done, and the voters of this country come back and say, hold up, wait a minute, let me put some more consultation in it, I think you have an obligation to listen.
Mhm.
That doesn't suggest that it will alter the outcome of what those dirty scumbags intended to do. That doesn't say what they could do is what they could do, right? But if the process is seen to be fair and seen to be
Balance and
due
proportionate.
process,
Mhm.
right? Then you have to live with the outcome. What other solution? What else do you have other than what Dennis said? I would spend the rest of my life making sure that they are never reelected because they are not good for this country. But at least for me, I would be able to say, listen, they could open the consultation for another year.
Mhm.
They've already made up their mind what they're going to do. It is reflected in the bill. That bill is a reflection of their intention.
So the question
What
then to
else the public-
this, well, make Denny weigh in on
But-
that.
Okay, so I'm not suggesting that they would not want to do whatever they feel like doing. But if in the process of having proper public consultation, you go back and forth on the points about whether something should or should not be done, you then make it, and if the public is making sense about why it wants a certain policy, and the government can't rebut that policy with some sensible explanation,
Mhm.
right? Now you
Then it
made
shouldn't be
it
done.
harder for them to go ahead and do whatever it is they wanted to do.
Of
And
course, we make it
what-
more difficult, Dennis, but it doesn't stop them from still doing what they want.
Well,
Sorry for cutting
I'm
you
not-
off, but let me interject there. Think about the School of Opulence in Cayman. I don't know if that's real name, but that's what I call it. Think about that school. All 19 or how much candidates they had, 56, 65, whatever they had. I can't think of too many that didn't get up and criticize that project. And when the rubber met the road, there was a grandiose statement that came out and said, we've gone too far, we got to continue.
But 4 walked away. I was one of the 4.
No. I'm not talking about even. I'm not talking about
And
you. I'm
that
talking about
was
this new
used
government.
against us. That was
No,
used against us.
I'm talking about the current government. I'm
No,
talking
but
about
I'm
the
just
NC.
saying, I'm just telling you what it looks like to stand for something.
I'm talking about the NC4C,
Gotcha.
whatever they're calling themselves. No, and I'm simply saying that. Okay, we saved ourselves. I believe that the price tag was $6 million by removing a gym, but we've gone too far to turn back now because my life coach said that the only thing that worse than spending one day is spending two. I look at money the same way. If you determine that it was $50 million of wasted money, the only thing that's more stupid than $50 million of wasted money is 51. I would have rather paid out. Dennett and his construction company and said, "Look, listen, we're not going forward with this project. I understand. Yes, there are going to be contractual breaches. We paid out DART for the dump deal, didn't we? That process was scrapped and halted, wasn't it? That process wasn't seen to have gone too far to be able to pump the brakes on that. And they realized that there were repercussions that would have cost the country money. So I don't say right now, I don't think that there are too many people that disagree that Cayman Brack needs a school.
Correct.
But I don't think that anybody would agree that it needs to be 50 million or 42 million. I don't think so. And
Okay,
all I'm saying is we do what we want when it's convenient. So to answer that lady's question that she said, yes, they're going to do what they want.
But then it
Well,
goes back.
I-
It's a
I-
spin-off.
I'm
Isn't it a
gonna-
jagged if that's the case, aren't we just not delaying the inevitable? It's
No,
really a jagged pill to swallow. Quote.
Well, let me finish my thought on
Go
that.
ahead.
I'm gonna use an example. Let's say clause 25 of the bill that you explained to us about. What if you were in a public consultation with the government and you asked the minister to explain to the public why he feels that is best for the Caymanian people?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he would say?
You mean in terms of the school?
No. Clause
No.
25 says, and I quote, Clause 25 amends Section 55 of the Principal Act to make it clear that persons employed as civil servants may carry on gainful occupation in the islands, including gainful occupation in respect of any restricted area of employment.
Oh, wow.
So if you ask the government to tell us why that's best for Caymanians, what do you think the government would tell us?
But not these Caymanians. It's the ones that they plan on giving status that they protected.
I think they would say that it was already done under special circumstances, and exactly what they're saying. Oh, we're just tidying it up so that it's clear in the law that under the old law, it only made provisions for, of course, Cayman permanent residents and other stuff, but it wasn't clear as to whether or not civil servants could get part-time jobs if they're on a contract. I think that's as how you would put it now, as simple as it would be put to
That
explain.
would be best for Caymanians?
We didn't. It'll stop there. It will stop there. It was already being done anyhow.
Okay, so while we're in the process of changing immigration policy, you don't think that you believe that that would be beneficial to allow non-Caymanian civil servants to also work in any area?
But do I think it would be beneficial?
No. It doesn't. I'm not speaking just to you. I'm asking the government. I'm asking the government. The context of this conversation is
first of all, a Caymanian, and for the sake of this conversation, let's assume that there is a qualified Caymanian that can hold that job, right? That Caymanian is already disadvantaged by an expat being in a position. So you're going to kick them further down the totem pole by giving them the freedom to do whatever the hell they want. And you get a job, and you get a job, and you get a job, and 2 part-time jobs. What?
And then
wrap it up and say this is for the benefit and none of protection.
Okay, so I'm agreeing with what you're saying, right? So
guys, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up for me, please.
Okay,
I'm going to give you 2 minutes each.
So in the context of having a proper public consultation, we ask government to justify these types of things, and the public is listening to it, and they see how they're disadvantaged, and the public is just going to just allow the politicians to go ahead and do it, and that's it. You're not going to stand up for your rights. You're just going to say, I give up. You see, I think it would be hard pressed for a politician to argue against the interests of Caymanians publicly. The reason why we're not getting public consultation to the degree that we ought to have received it is because they were trying to avoid the conversation. It would put them in a position where they would have to make themselves look ridiculous, which they didn't want to do. They're getting away with it only because people are too afraid to stand up for their rights. So we're back to citizens fulfilling their responsibility to hold government accountable. I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much. Siobhan, your 2 minutes.
I will say that I think that this conversation and the breakdown and the explanation has happened more on this talk show than the government has ever done. They haven't broken it down. They haven't explained it. They haven't even gone into the intricacies or intimacies of the bill. Remember that the public is seen to be lay people, ordinary common men and women. I saw some of the consultation online. I have an advanced degree. I understand legislation. And I was looking at some of them. I was, wow, this don't make any sense. But just think about the fact that this forum has broken down. You, Denny, I contributed a little bit, Denny. You read that bill cover to cover. I picked up pieces because I was insulted by the bill. I was insulted by it being rammed down our throats. And that was my ignorance. But I get on here and I talk to people. I make public pleas, public cries. I try to make sure that people understand the significance of the changes. I try to get people to understand the significance of their participation. This is participatory democracy, not just calling up your MP and saying, I need a dock in West Bay. That is not participatory democracy. These are the laws that will forever shape, change how we move, breathe, and live in this country.
Yep.
And we, Sabrina, you, myself, whoever that lady was that just called in, this huge conversation is taking place on the airwaves.
And a lot of people are saying it's a lot to absorb in one night. They're asking for this conversation to continue tomorrow.
But just
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Sabrina has spent. So, I mean, some days I'll log on and say, what's the Invasion Bill again?
I'm only creating the forum. I'm only creating the space. This is not party politics.
I'm not suggesting that it is. I'm grateful. What I'm saying is, if the listening public has determined or decided that this is how imperative this bill is, I think this has been going on for at least 2 weeks.
But at the end of the day, Siobhan, like you rightfully say, many will take it as though I'm anti the minister. Many will take it that I'm anti the government. Many will not take the fact of the positiveness that came out of this. They may actually even think that it's only highlighting the negatives. Repeatedly, and anyone who constantly listens to this show will say and can repeat that I have been nonpartisan, I have been fair, I have been balanced. I'm creating the space, asking people to come and give their opinion. I had absolutely no intention of even touching this. Danny is the one who said, Sabrina, no, you have to. People were coming to me saying, you have to. Not other people in society. But now it's as though you have a sector that is like, oh, it's only because it's Michael. Has nothing to do with Michael.
Let me tell you, woman.
For the people who think, I don't agree with the assertion that all we're doing is just pointing out the negatives. I don't agree with that.
It's just crazy.
But let's just say that is the case. That's just for the purpose.
Well, make them feel good and say something good about the bill, now, Dana. Make them feel good.
Well,
I not found that part yet. Maybe you did.
No, I know what that part is. But let's just think. For the purposes of this conversation, let's just focus on the negative. Let's assume that there's a bunch of Caymanians on a boat out on the 12-mile bank, and we're all fishing, and we're catching lots of fish, and we're enjoying ourselves, and we're eating conch, and life is grand. And I make
not getting no conch on 12-mile bank.
I know you taking it with you, and I come along and I point out. I get ruined the party by saying that the boat is sinking. It has a hole in it.
But then if some people would rather you not say anything, have the party go
exactly,
on, and then just when your head is bobbing in the water like Titanic, they can say, Jack, Jack. Why didn't you say so, Jack?
You're disgusting.
You
Guys,
understand what I'm
let's
saying?
leave it there for me tonight. Again, I have no problem continuing
No,
discussion
let me
tomorrow,
end on
but
the
go ahead.
positive. Let me end on the
Please,
positive note.
please.
It's
Tell them one good thing about the bill, then.
it's
Just one good thing about this, so they
one
don't feel
thing
like we're
good
talking.
about the bill is
Yeah.
that we're talking about immigration and we're going to make some changes.
Mhm.
That's positive.
I said that.
Mhm.
Miss Sabrina, I want to say one thing to you.
Go ahead.
You said that they think that people are going to say, oh, well, they're elected, and there's Michael, and there's
Mhm.
personal.
Mhm.
Somewhere in the world, there's a man who thinks he's a tree. It don't mean he's a tree.
I mean, I don't. This forum calls for that type of analogy, and
Because you know yourself.
Jesus Christ
you know,
died for sinners. Look, I could be doing so much other things than doing this, and you've seen the views. You've seen the episodes, 14, almost 15,000 views, one episode alone and counting. Nobody's interested. So I'm just, one of those who are a hater that I lost. Let me tell you something. What I have learned just by sharing this and being in this space with you guys and is just amazing. And what being able to have persons like you call in and weigh in and we educate one another. I have remained honestly as objective as I can. This is no personal axe to grind for anyone who's up in their feelings.
Amen.
And at the end of the day, if that's all you can sit down and look as a leader that thinks that I'm in my feelings because I am just making public what you've all put in the public's domain, then
you're not going to look at the
trust me.
legislation. You are going to
Trust
be,
me.
though, you, Siobhan, and Dennis are going to be the only three Caymanians that are going to be excluded from the implication of this ramshackle law.
Well,
that must be what they think.
Well, at the end of the yeah.
That is so insular and obtuse.
Well, it speaks.
Like
it speaks a lot.
I just said,
it speaks a lot.
Like I said, there's somewhere in the world there's also a man who thinks he's a tree.
I think the messenger is the problem, and until we get out of that you miss the forest for the trees. I think that at the end
that's going to change.
No, but it's a sad indictment on our people. It's bad.
I don't disagree with you. Dana and I are going to chat offline to try to figure out who needs to be the messenger, because
it'll be over turtle meat.
Whatever version she ate.
I don't care what it over. I don't care what it over. I wrote a hog tonight.
Oh God.
If we can get this thing to stop.
Yeah, well, I don't know, guys. I have provided the platform. I am quite sure that this will continue. Tomorrow they meet at 10 o'clock, and I'm hoping that people reach out to their MPs and they just speak how they feel.
I'm hoping that people simply. Before you go, Sabrina, I promise I'll make you go after this. I also want to remind the public that Parliament is also a public building. There's a dress code, but it's also public. You can go and actually listen. There is strength and numbers. They're not worried because they don't see us showing up there. They don't see us participating in democracy. They don't see it. They're not worried.
Mm-hmm.
Who contacted their MP? My MP.
But they can pluck you. They can pluck me. They can pluck Denny. They can pluck. And I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're only three.
Well, they are not taking our suggestions. I can tell you that.
We're not even asking. We're just asking them like what you say for the process. But look, we could be going around in a wheel. All I have to say, the debate continues tomorrow at 10 o'clock. If you feel compelled to reach out to your MPs, please do so. At the end of the day, I feel I've done my civic duty, despite me not wanting to do it for a number of reasons. And you have all been very receptive. And I thank you all for contributing and participating. Now let's see what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, if you were valued during a campaign, but you're not valued now, let that sink in.
But that's nothing new. That's nothing new to us.
Let that sink in.
Our memories are so short. But again, I just want to implore the public to have if you don't even think about yourself, think about my two children. Please.
We're all going to get older. We're getting older. We will be seniors at the end of the day.
Somebody is going to be having a similar talk show 10 years down the line. I don't even know if we can make it 10 years down the line. Somebody else is going to have a similar talk show 5 to 10 years down the line. If this bill is allowed to go through in its current form, and they're going to say, well, you didn't say something. Well, you did.
The consensus is, so what? They have the numbers possibly, and we'll just have to deal with the unintended consequences. But we can no longer remain stagnant and not do something. This is a time to stop the chatter and let's do it. That's the common takeaway. They have the numbers. So at the end of the day, the opposition can rant and rave all they want. If the people do not actually go out and say, slow this down just one little bit, hear us out. Let's hear what the 17 amendments are. Let's make sure that this is done properly. Then if that doesn't...
As ludicrous as this sounds, they have the ability to wake up tomorrow and say, Caymanian shopping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to change it in the same form. And if we allow this to happen, we should get every lick in life that comes from it.
Well, we gonna all feel it, and that's what's sad. We're going to all feel this.
I'm going to leave on it there because my pressure's a little bit up. And,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Then we got to find the messenger.
Yep.
Well, or maybe we could change their attitude.
Good luck.
We'll have to.
Their attitude depends on what's between their ear and how they think and how they perceive things. And if that doesn't change and stop thinking about themselves and stop actually just pointing the finger at a Denny and a Siobhan and whomever else that tries to say the obvious, then we're going to have a problem.
When this goes south, the one in the eastmost corner that say, well, I had collective responsibility. The one in the westmost corner that say, I was bound by collective responsibility. The ones that we're talking about that saying, slow this thing down, who are on the government bench, they're going to say, well, I had been told them slow it down.
You'll never probably hear that. You'll never probably hear that.
The one who, oh yes, you will. Because if it goes through, we're going to have serious problems. Unless I digress.
Only time will tell.
The one who, well, I gave an example at the start of this conversation. Look at the fallout, and you may see it as insignificant of that 1978 piece of legislation. Almighty, I wasn't born but 10 years after that. I'm still being affected by it. My children were born 50 years after it. They're still being affected by it. This thing is long, deep, and wide. Measure twice, cut once.
Somebody's found the fortitude. There's a cabinet that says we're going to do this and we're going to do this now. No more talk. Let's take it. At least we're getting it done.
Wow, big
that's a very dictatorial way to approach these issues. And I know that when you're in the business world, you can think like a dictator because you don't have, no one has right to say how you run your business. But the problem is that government isn't like a private company because people have rights.
But the average citizen, Denny and Siobhan, are not thinking this way. They're actually saying, if good come, I'm going to get it. If bad come, I'm going to get it. I'm just so tired of all of this. They suck their teeth. And it doesn't matter. That's where the people are getting.
No. It does matter.
Hold on.
It's not going to matter.
I want to give you an example. A friend just is listening online who is Caymanian, who I am, dragging her by her ear to email her MP. And you know what she just texted and said? We always stick our neck out and get our heads knocked off. We always stick our necks out only to get our heads knocked off.
Well, if that is a huge percentage of our voting, 25,000 persons that are voting, and if that is the stance that the majority of them take, Siobhan and Danny, We might as well
Good
run
night,
to the
Hannah.
hills. Yeah, that's
Good
it.
night,
That's it.
Hannah. The
But we
pe- and
take
the
what we
people
get. And if you
the
can't
people
deal,
in hell want water.
if you can't deal with the environment, then that is going to be created with that style of thinking. Not
You
to
go
say that,
somewhere else.
yes, you're just going to have
You
to
go
go. Or
somewhere
you
else.
take what you get. Bottom line is, you then will be a minority, which we already feeling that from what feedback we're getting.
We already
But
feeling that. We
but at the
all
end of the day,
minority.
if that is the mindset, if that is the culture, let's say of a great percentage of those who are registered to vote, then guess what, guys? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. It's
Can I tell
sad.
you before you go?
It's
You're
sad.
a former sitting MP. You would have been able to see this process and see it through and what it looks like. Are you suggesting that in a process like this, in terms of a bill or with amendments or whatever, that there weren't people within that little corner room down there that kind of roll their eyes and were like, look at this is what it is, leg it or lump it?
Yeah, you would have a little bit of that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to this, that was why former ministers didn't bring it to the table, because you just couldn't get a consensus from within. And then the PR side of things at the end of the day is just trying to create that balance. But what is being presented here in this white paper, a lot of what was here, I can only speak for when I was there, was never brought up. Kenneth Bryan, Georgetown Central, and I were the most vocal around the table with trying to be fair and trying to say red flags, deal with this. How have you done this? And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it either didn't come back or we were outright shut down. I, for one, was the most vocal.
So did you just mistakenly or accidentally reveal that all of the other MPs are the problem?
Well, the key is it didn't even get to the point of public consultation when I was there. So I can't say that because we didn't get to the point. The white paper that was in circulation that I said that was a joke. This is
if they're shutting you down, that's not a good sign.
Exactly. That's what I can only speak of my experience, guys. I'm only speaking.
You as a sitting MP can't even get it to the white paper process.
But at the end of the day, remember, you are under constitutional remit. You respect the minister that's responsible with delivering that, and you all sit down around the table and you discuss it. You understand what I'm saying? So
no, you know that only exists in theory.
Well, but I'm telling you what happened. People were saying, well, why do you have so much to say on immigration now? But when you were there, you said nothing. I'm not the minister. I wasn't the minister for that ministry. The only one who had the right to bring any paper or a cabinet paper or legislation is the premier, who can bring it outside the substantive minister for that ministry. Yeah. That's how the inner workings work.
We sound like we're going to hell in a handbasket with gasoline.
But I'm just hoping that the relationships now in there, obviously, with what we're seeing now, this couldn't have made it to the floor of Parliament where it is today unless you got total agreement, one, of the caucus, and two, in cabinet. These bills don't get down to Parliament unless you have it agreed to in cabinet.
Well, I told you they're up and they're having Oprah's 12 days of Christmas. Are you surprised?
Well, there you go. So everyone in there, founded by collective responsibility or not, exactly what was presented in these clauses that we're seeing and the clauses that we don't see have to bear the responsibility of whatever comes of this.
Well, I hope they know that when it goes wrong, I can rub it in.
And you know, Danny, you said something else, and I'm going to hold you to it. You're going to spend the rest of your life ensuring that they never be what?
Get elected.
Re-elected. And I'm going to hold you to that because I echo the same sentiment. I said it on Sabrina's show, and I'll say it again tonight. The way I see half of them up in the movement, if I had knew now what I knew then, I would have never supported them. I would have never supported them. Because this is not what I signed up for. This is not. It's an embarrassment. when ambassador were being given out, they got it all. I'm going to leave you guys there.
My good lady, thank you so much for your participation and contribution today. As always, please have a good night. And my dear gentlemen,
Take care.
thank you so much. Have a good night. Well, yes, we have come to almost a 3-hour show tonight of Sabrina Speaks, and I will be back with you tomorrow evening. If you want, we can continue this. I will try to do a synopsis of whatever I missed today of the live proceedings. And, I want to thank you for your continued support. Please do have a good evening. God bless. Mwah. Love you lots. Until tomorrow, have a good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.